hello, and welcome to Moonbase 2 podcast. Say something, Big D, because you're probably not going to work. Yeah, no, that's what I thought. Because I was playing Repo with Daddy yesterday, so things had to be changed. Is it working now? Yep,
Is
there
it?
it is. Yep.
Hey!
Yay! Hey, Big D.
Hey. See, Repo's a game I love to watch. I'm not sure if I'd get on with it.
Why wouldn't you get on with it?
I don't know. I tend not to do a lot of games that are. It's probably more because I haven't really found a group to do it with, but I'm not really big on co-op games.
You do know what Darktide is, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to talk to people, and Repo and Leaf becoming a sort of game where you need to communicate with your
I see.
fellow
Yeah.
players.
Oh no, I wouldn't play with randos. I wouldn't play with just anybody. You know.
Yeah, I suspect I may have been spoiled on those sort of games by just watching very entertaining people play them.
Yeah.
Because no playthrough viewing can ever really live up to those sort of shenanigans.
Sure, they can do because then you're involved and they're your experiences. Yeah, I mean the game's cheap enough that it's only like a couple of quid. I think at max it'd be like 10 quid. So
yeah, it's not expensive. I have had a look at it. And thought, do I?
Yeah. You could try. Wait for a sale or something. Actually, it probably won't be on sale for a while because it's early access, and who knows when early access games come out of early access.
Yeah, I might give it a go towards the end of the month when I've got I should have a little bit more, what's the word, liquidity to play with. So
liquidity, very nice. Very nice.
He said, trying to making it sound more impressive than it really is.
Okay, is that set up? I wish I could get the music to play through my headset for a Moonbase, but for some reason it updated to so it doesn't pump it through my headset anymore. Not that really matters. I suppose it's just an annoying quirk, you know.
Yeah.
Dumb things. Do you want to get pooping now, or should
yeah, we might as well get cracking.
Yeah, okay. Right, I'll play the music and we can start pooping. Okay, music time.
Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Moonbase 2 podcast. It's me, Andy, Decade Andy here. We're with Big D once again. Hello, Big D.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. You know how I was complaining before we started recording that the music audio wasn't playing through my headset?
Did it play?
It played. Do you know what I did to get it to work?
Go on.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's just working now for some reason. Fine.
Typical.
Fine, I don't mind. Okay, just be that way.
Yeah,
that's all good. So how is the ragged sharp vampire tooth that you have at the moment? Is it better?
Well, it's still sharp, but I'm not as lispy as I was. I'm starting to enter the more interesting vocal period of it. So
you're not slicing up your tongue anymore like a weird person from an Evil Dead movie.
Not as much. Okay. I don't have to keep applying Bonjela every half hour to it.
Okay.
So.
Do you know what I'm referencing there with the Evil Dead remake movie?
I do.
Yeah, where she gets where she gets a tongue and she cuts it in half, and it's like, well, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. I like that remake. I think it's actually pretty decent remake.
It was. Reminds me, I still haven't watched Evil Dead Rise, which I need to correct.
Again, that's just kind of, it's okay. It does feel like another Evil Dead movie, and I think that's the problem. It just feels like the last remake, just in a slightly different setting.
I can get that. Yeah.
It's not bad. It's worth a watch. It's just you'll go through and be like, yeah, I kind of know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, Evil Dead. After the first one, you know what you're in for.
They do some nice bits at the end with the last creature, and it's like that's fun. That's a kind of neat, fancy idea. But it's kind of the build up to it, and obviously you know what a Deadites like. Yeah. Mostly. Yeah. It does an interesting thing where it seems to suggest there are 3 books of the dead, because this isn't the book of seemingly it's not the Necronomicon I can't remember which one it is in the Evil Dead movies, the Ash ones.
Yeah.
But it seems like
Yeah.
they suggest there are 3 in total.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, that's fine. Obviously, I haven't really done anything with that after the fact, but it's like, yeah, okay, it's fun. It's something,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but we're here to talk today, finally, ending our conversation about Transformers Prime. We kind of dabbled in it last time just because of how mold reuse was being done. But now we're going to finish the journey and finish off with the Beast Hunters line. So we've got a lot of beastie characters, a couple of characters like Starscream and Dreadwind who got completely new toys because they were deluxes rather than Voyagers. And then, some staple characters like Shockwave, who was classed as a beast hunter. So I can't remember what did we we talked about what's his name?
Starscream?
No. Autobot, season 3 character, turned blue. He was white.
Hotshot.
What's it called?
No, Smokescreen.
Smokescreen,
sorry.
yeah. Did we talk about Smokescreen last time? I think we did.
We did, because we talked about his weird plastic cage.
That's right. Yes. But for some reason, we didn't talk about Starscream or Dreadwind or Bulkhead, the deluxe versions. But that's okay. That's fine. We're going to be starting off with... Now, granted, we haven't talked about the Legends figures, but I wanted to talk about these ones specifically, at least 2 of them. We'll get to in a moment. It's Abominus. So this was the first Abominus figure... Because did they do Abominus for Titans for Combiner Wars? I don't think they did.
He Power of Primes they did.
That's right, but not for Combiner Wars.
But it was one of the things where they kept doing Combiners right through the Prime Wars trilogy.
And unfortunately, Power of the Primes, it was that was not. Not a good Abominus. No.
It was
no.
It was a weird choice to make Hunger out of Silverbolt. I'll say that.
It was they were doing it as cheaply as possible. They didn't want to make anything new for Abominus, so he just came across as a little bit of a half-assed thing. And I'd say it was more half-assed because a car being turned into a different kind of car. Okay, that makes sense. But when you're using that kind of mold and transformation to try and make an animal, it's a lot rougher. There was more effort put into Volcanicus, I would say, and there was there were a lot of issues with Volcanicus as well. A lot of issues.
There were,
but
so many issues.
This is the Legends version of Predaking. We're starting off with Windrazor. I guess a good comparison we can look at is comparing this guy, who was granted, before we get too far into it, cheaper than Dino King that we both have, but it's meant to be in the same kind of scale, and they're both meant to be combiners. So, did you have any of these guys, Big D?
You know what? I was always annoyed that I never picked up the gift set of the whole team.
Translucent one?
No, Tesco.
Oh.
For about a year, they had it on the shelf in the local one, the big one in Swindon. Okay. And I just never got around to pick it. The price point was never quite right, to my mind, to justify it. And as much as I wanted the Terragons, or a version of them, because I didn't think we were going to get a version. This was pre-Combiner Wars, so...
Yeah. To be fair, we didn't get one for a while. A good few years.
But, it was weird. I just never got around to it. And it's a shame, because they looked like they were just... Sure, they were legends, what we call legends nowadays, but they looked like they were kind of goofy fun for what they were.
Again, because they were reasonably cheap, it didn't really... It mattered to a point, because you were like, I wish I had a bit more, but when we look at like Windrazor here, you can see he's got like ball-jointed shoulders. He does have ball joints for his elbows, but... they are not to facilitate like elbow bends. They facilitate wing flapping motions. So the actual joint allows you to move the arm inwards rather than like your 90-degree upwards.
Yeah,
which is kind of weird. We've got ball joints in the hips. We have no knee joints. So again, reasonably limited in terms of posing.
Yeah,
but he did have quite a nice little transformation into a reasonably okay bird thing, whatever Cutthroat's meant to be.
that's not a bad looking dino bird thing, you know?
No, I'm pretty sure that the torso looked a bit rough, and they haven't actually transformed the head correctly, because if you look behind the bird head, the robot head is literally right behind
That's
it,
true,
and you
yeah.
can flip that further down. They just didn't, for whatever
Yeah.
reason. I wish there were more pictures of the bird mode, just to help out with like showing people how it looked, but it was okay. It's not too bad. They all came with slightly peggable weapons. So for Windracer, he came with let's call it a bow gun, if you want, which had 3 pegs on it. One for the gun handle hand, one for if you wanted to hold it like a sort of axe, you could do it that way, and then another peg coming off the side. So if you were thinking you could hold it by the trigger handle, and then maybe you'd be able to hold it by this side peg. You couldn't, but I think that was the idea. And then it had 2 ports on it. One port on the front for where the arrows, in theory, or energy bolts would go, and then one on the opposite side of the pegs is sticking out the side. So you had either a peg on the right-hand side and a port on the left-hand side. So this was your ability to like combine your all the weapons together to make various different combinations. So the interesting thing we had was we had the Predacons Rising version, which was a somewhat translucent version, not completely. The body mold was also done in a slightly more turquoisey turquoise. But then a lot of the yellow was just translucent, and the wings were also translucent as well. So but for the image on this one, you've got a little bit of a better look at how the bird mode is meant to look. And oddly enough, oddly enough, I think it looks kind of similar because of the bird head, very similar to the giant claw. If you know do you know the giant claw, Big D?
You know what? It's one of those cases where my brain's so full of weird pop culture knowledge. I know it, but I can't remember where I know it.
It's the really ugly fucking monster puppet movie, black and white. It's maybe one of the worst giant monster movies they put out there. A giant bird attacks like planes and stuff like that. It's got warts on its face with like hairs coming out of them as well. Yeah, Google the giant claw, and you'll get an idea of what it looked like. This version of Windracer as well came with a translucent purple version of his bowgun thing rather than a solid gray. So it's arguably.
Oh, Jesus.
I
have a picture. Yeah.
Do you remember the giant claw?
I do now. Christ.
Do you see what I mean? The bird mode looks a little bit like the giant claw, the head design at the very least, because he's got that almost banana-shaped overbeak kind of look.
Yeah, he's got a bit of that going on.
Yeah. In terms of redos, he got redone into, it says Prime Dive Bomb, but we don't see an image for 2013 Europe. There is no link to this. And then in Japan, it got done into Barara. It just says 2013 Japan, which turned him blue and gray. Oh, another good image of his bird mode. That is a good, if you look at that bird mode, yeah. When you see the bird mode and it's not a top-down look and you have him stretched out, it's a pretty decent looking bird mode. It doesn't pose super well, but color scheme is the turquoise has turned to gray, and then the blue part, the yellow parts have been turned to blue, and then they've been given like gold highlights. It's basically Dreadwind's color scheme from Transformers Prime. Funnily enough, so it looks okay. It's an interesting look. It's I don't think it's the best one, but it could also form the arm. I guess we'll have a look at the repaint. And then, oddly enough, for those that remember, it got upscaled in 2014 for Europe and Hong Kong. Only 2 of these Predacon guys got redone, just bigger. So they're deluxe scale, and you're like, oh, so they've got new joints? No. Their ball joints have been turned to, at least in the hips, the ball joints in the hips and in the arms have been turned to universal pin joints with some mushroom pegs in there as well. If you look on the inside of the shoulder, you can see the mushroom peg, and then the outward motion has a pin going through the shoulder. No knees. We've actually lost the ball joint in the elbow, and now that looks like a swivel. And it looks like that's about it. So for a deluxe figure, it's got next to no articulation. It also has hollow inner forearms for some reason. I don't know why they didn't fill that in either. But otherwise, it's a bigger version of the figure.
And the kicker, though, is that this one, I actually like the look of it. The colour's just quite dreamy.
It's a lot more vibrant, right? It's got a lot more pop to it, colour scheme.
That turquoise has got a nice depth to it. That purple and the bone as well, because on the previous version, the bone they used was a much more translucent, almost pearlescent plastic.
Yeah.
Which didn't look too different from the other version of it. This one, everything just looks a little crisper as well because of that upscale.
Yeah, the head's definitely a lot nicer.
It's just so weird, like that they've made it worse by removing the elbow joints.
Yeah, because
the elbow ball joint and not putting knee joints in, because
like I can see why the ball joints aren't there for the inner elbow, and it's so that the wings don't weigh down that ball joint and make the arm.
That's true. Yeah.
That's why it's not there, I'm sure. But just replacing it with a swivel is kind of lame. Especially when the elbow joint or the elbow is designed to look like there should be a joint in there.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why they couldn't have made a joint, except they would have actually had to make engineering for it and make new parts. Which,
yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they made this, whether it was just Control-T and just upscaling it, or if there was a bit more in it. If there was more in it, they should have done more with it, because you could have done...
I kind of want to now go check and see if anyone did an oversized KO and put joints in these things.
That'd be interesting. I don't know if they did. Oddly enough, they gave a new weapon.
I know I have seen a KO of these guys, but I don't know if it was. I think it was just a cheapy KO, not one that had done any work done to it, because of just the time period when it was done.
Yeah,
they wouldn't be doing those sort of KOs.
Well, they gave him a brand new weapon as well, so he doesn't have the bowgun thing. He has a full-on mace. We don't have a great image of it, but it looks like there's a peg in the mace part, and I don't know if he can hold it any other way. I assume he probably could somehow, but yeah. Apparently there was one more version of the figure. It was the Family Dollar Store Strafe figure, which I don't think was on the... Oh, no, the Family Dollar Store Strafe version is around as well. So this version is another blue version, but it's mostly blue. It's primarily blue. It's cryotech colors, if you would.
Yeah.
That kind of like that amount of blue, those kind of variations of the blue, and you've got kind of a really bad spray can, dark blue to turquoisey blue on the wings. Well, part of the wings, which looks okay. Doesn't look too bad. It doesn't show that he comes with a weapon, so I assume he doesn't. Right?
I guess not.
I
mean, Family Dollar, I gather, it does what it says on the tin.
Yeah. So for a legend scale figure, it's okay, right? It's nothing amazing. It's perfectly fine, and the big version was disappointing. And you haven't touched on these. You haven't had these figures, so I can't really ask.
I haven't, I'm afraid. I tell you what, I'm surprised how many repaints he got, though. I didn't expect as many.
No, did I? I remembered he got a few, but I didn't think it was as many as that. Next up, we have Twin Strike, or Sinner Twin, as he used to be called when he had a bitchin' name. This one had a bit more of an involved transformation. Not, it's a legend scale figure. But if you look from the scale and kind of girthiness of the robot mode to how slender the twin dragon head mode gets, I think this one's a bit more successful about changing the silhouette. And I think it's done primarily by having the shins of the robot mode. You pull them outwards, and then you swivel them upwards to his thighs, and then you push them back in again. So it beefs up the animal's thighs while thinning down the shins, basically, because on the inside of the leg, that's where the kind of backwards chicken leg jointed structure of the beast mode comes from. You flip down the chest, you flip down the head into the chest, and then you kind of fold the shoulders up to make the double-headed dragon mode. And I think, again, pretty nice. Looks pretty
Yeah.
good. He comes with a hammer, which, again, not very inspiring. And he does hold it kind of wonkily because he holds it right
Yeah.
at the bottom of the hammer. And if you're a dwarf, you know that that's not how you are a hammerer, right? Hammerers never hammer like that, right?
Only if you're throwing the hammer.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. That's fair. Do dwarves throw their hammers? I know there are. No, do they have
sometimes.
axe tossers? No, it's mainly quarrelers, right? There's
well,
the axe tossing
no.
machine.
Some of actually, it's more a thing in the Lord of the Rings game, but throwing axes they've become a bit of a thing in dwarf factions as a rule over the years.
Okay, because I know that's more of a thing for like Norska. Norska have axe throwers, mounted axe throwers, but that's about it. So what do you think of the look of Twin Strike or Sinner Twin compared to Air Razor or Cutthroat?
I like him. The beast mode is you can't mistake who it's supposed to be.
No.
You look at yeah, I can take a good stab at guessing who that is. The robot mode I don't mind the fact that he's got no elbows purely because you can see why. It makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't mention the articulation. Sorry. He's got ball joints in his feet for the ankles. He's got ball joints in the hips, no knee joints, ball joints for the shoulders, but they really only facilitates moving them forwards and backwards. No head joint, no elbow joint. That's it. Very basic.
But, you know, another fun little guy for what was a fairly
probably £5.
cheap. Yeah.
Which is like, £5. That's fine.
Yeah. Works for me.
So in terms of redos, he's not got as many. He's still got a couple. He's got the translucent version, which is, exactly what you think it is. It's a slightly brighter blue, but just translucent otherwise. And with the purple translucent hammer, fine.
He does look like he's made out of gummy sweets, though, doesn't he?
They always do. There is, of course, the bigger version. So we have a much more detailed head sculpt, and we have much more vibrant colors again. The purples on it, actually, they do change this color scheme around on him a little bit. If you go back and forth, they've added some. They took away the purple on the. Hang on, let's open both windows so we can go back and forth. So on his torso, for the small version, he's got purple like just below his shoulders. That's gone on the deluxe-ish scale one. And around his chest, around his boobs, if you would, they've colored them turquoise to add a little extra color there for some reason, which is kind of interesting. But they've also removed the purple that was in the center of his stomach as well. Instead of for the Legends version, it was a pinky metallic color. And it's been changed to a very dark purple, the same kind of dark purple that Cutthroat Air Razor had as well. It's kind of interesting to kind of look at them back and forth.
Yeah, it's another one where I kind of dig this deco more than the other one. Some of it might just be the difference in scale, but
I don't know. I kind of would have liked the abdomen color to be there, and I'm not sure if I like the really dark purple. I think it's almost too dark of a purple for my taste. But I'm not agreed to the blue bits on his boobs. That's fine.
The beast mode makes that purple stand out a lot more than it on the robot mode. It works more as spot color because it's on his shoulders, a couple of places around on his legs and stuff. Whereas on the beast mode, because it's basically all of his back in the robot, it becomes much more dominant, and it's like, oh, that doesn't really mesh with the other bits.
No, because the animal front legs are primarily the turquoise color. Same for the back legs and the tail, and then the heads are yellow. So
yeah, but nothing really merges with it, which is a shame because
the robot mode's definitely stronger, 100% stronger.
But again, some of that is probably just down to the fact it's a bigger scale and it's a thicker. The plastic looks a bit crisper.
But I thought you meant for the color change, because I don't see why they changed the purple when they could have just used the turquoise, and then obviously for the beast mode it would have kept the consistency.
Yeah,
it's an odd choice. And then he comes with a brand new hammer. It's a different molded hammer, but he comes with another hammer, so that's kind of interesting. So from the big version, which isn't a KO, we have Gararara. Which is the Japanese repaint, and they've done him into green and grey. Not exciting colors, but I think pretty nice looking, right?
Yeah, nothing exciting, but
it's always like green and grey. It's a solid color scheme, but you never go, ooh, that's really fancy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's for color. You kind of go, yeah, that works.
You know what it is? It's basically, but not entirely, basically Imperial Guard color, right?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Imperial Guard. It's a perfectly good color scheme, but he's there to die.
As someone who has painted far more Imperial Guardsmen in green fatigues than I would like to think, yeah, that's a fair point.
This is why I did mine in Fenris in grey and decided to put like really shitty tiger stripes on them, like white and black stripes to try and make it a little bit different.
Oh, I did big orange triangles as a camo pattern on one of my.
You just hate yourself, don't you? Triangles.
Yeah.
Trying to get triangles clean as well over like rounded surfaces.
Oh, it's even better. This was back in like 2001, so the paints weren't even that great. I was using Vermin Brown. OG Vermin Brown.
I don't think I ever. What kind of pot was it in? Was it the black tops? Or was it post black tops?
I did some with the black screw top and some then with when they moved to the initial flip top.
Oh, okay. Because for me, I remember it going white tops, which was like your classic goblin greens and stuff like that. Then by the time I was coming out, it was moving over to the black tops. And then I don't know what happened after that. I just know the current ones, which are not.
Well, I think I started with for white tops, but didn't have a coat de armor paints. Then it was the blue tops when they were in the hexagonal flip tops.
All right.
And those don't dry because I still have a pot of tin bits in one of those that I'm still using to this day. So, actually, I'll tell you, they were blue for washes, black for metallics, and white for regular ones.
For everything else, that's right, yeah.
And then the screw tops were.
It was just black, and then it was just a little sticker
white,
on the side.
White for the washes, I think.
Was it white for the washes? I don't think I ever got any of the washes.
Yes, because the annoying thing is that some of those inks were great, but they basically welded the lids shut because I can't get.
Oh.
Yeah.
You need one of those can openers. No, jar openers. A jar opener or like a pair of pliers, but not to squeeze it too hard.
I tried that. It didn't work. The damn stuff. Purple ink, GW acrylic purple ink it was great stuff, but man, once it dries, it don't want to open.
You know what you should do? You should wait until like there's a convention, like a Comic-Con convention or something like that you want to go to and see Mr. White and go down and see him. Then go to the event. Go and specifically see a big wrestler and take the pot of paint and say, "Can you open this for me? Because I can't." And he'd be like, "What the fuck?" It's like, "Yes, I'm not strong enough. I want a big strong man to do it for me." Do it. That'd be funny. Especially if they couldn't do it at the same time. So that was Gararara. And then there was also the Twin Strike figure upscaled in Japan. Oh no, that was the same one. So he only had 3 redos. Not nearly as many as Cutthroat for whatever reason, but that's Twin Strike done. Next up we have Ripper Snapper, who is the fish one, basically. Again, the robot mode, he has big ball-jointed shoulders. He does technically have butterfly joints, but that's mainly to facilitate the transformation, but technically they are there. And then he has ball joints in the hips, and he does, if you want to be really generous, you can say he has pinned ankle joints, but again, that's really to facilitate the transformation because the fish head is his feet. So
Yeah.
you got to twirl them around. He does have a problem of his shins are only half there.
I was going to say, I can understand why he doesn't have any knee joints because there's nothing there to.
Yeah, there's nothing there to do anything with.
Yeah.
They just don't exist. And again, it's to facilitate how the transformation works so he can turn into the big kind of land shark creature that he be. And the land sharks, again, it's okay. Legend scale, all that jazz. You're like, yeah, this is fine. It's not the shark that you remember from G1, but you look at any, it still looks Transformers Primey and still looks like a shark. It's like, yeah, okay, this is fine.
It looks like a version of Ripper Snapper, you know? It's a take on the archetype. I mean, the head sculpt for the beast mode is mostly where it's at because the rest of it is kind of a bit, okay, they ran out of material clearly for the back end.
Yeah.
Unless that's how they just posed for the head looking upwards. But you know what? It still works. Ripper Snapper was always a bit of a weirdo. So
again, legend scale, so you can't do much. So where's the big version? Doesn't exist. They only did 2 of them. They only did Wind Razor and Cinetwin, and they went no more.
That's so bizarre. I mean, I imagine that's probably because the first 2 didn't sell, but the fact it's just weird that they would only release 2 of the team in a bigger size.
Yeah, and they did nothing with them, as we talked about. So maybe it's for the best they didn't do anything anymore. Because I don't know. I don't know if the bigger ones could form the arms. I don't know because I never got them. But for Ripper Snapper, he is translucent. He's probably the least translucent of the ones we've seen so far. Because all of the blue bits are still solid plastic blue. It's only the whitish grey parts that they made translucent. So it kind of gives him a kind of interesting look. He looks a bit like a jellyfish, kind of
a little
translucent look. He also got a Jurarara, which is the Japanese version again. They didn't transform him correctly for this image for some reason. So if you want to figure out how the legs work to get him into his fish mode, there's an image of it. I don't know why they didn't fully transform him. The grey plastic is still grey plastic, but the blue plastic has been changed for purple plastic, a very dark purple plastic. So it's not desperately interesting upgrade color scheme-wise. It's just like, let's tweak the shade a little bit to make it more purple than blue. And you go, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of works. It's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also did it for Age of Extinction Grimlock, which is interesting. Like, I kind of get it. Like, if you look at him in his fish mode, he's orange and black and dinosaur shaped because he does have the little T-Rex arms for his fish mode. So it's like,
I mean. Bless their cotton socks. They've done their best to make this work, haven't they?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, the colors are in the right place, and there's an idea of what they were going for. I don't know who mandated this, or if this was one of those things where they were just like, "We just need a repaint," and they went, "That'll do." But it kind of works, I guess.
Yeah, I have to say, I have just seen that apparently there was a redeco of Energon Cruellock as Age of Extinction Grimlock as well. So clearly someone decided that they needed a bunch of lower price point Grimlocks and just went, what T-Rex looking robots have we got we can shove out with a new deco?
Oh, I think this came out like with that Cruellock that you mentioned, because it says this figure was available exclusively at Walmart in 2014, and the Cruellock that you mentioned was also Walmart and 2014. So
God, that's
it doesn't specifically say they came together, but
you'd not have been surprised.
It's either they came together or they were both sold in Walmart at about the same time for some reason.
So bizarre.
Very odd. XL Hedge says, I may be wrong, but didn't this Abomination mold get released in the Last Night toy line? I guess we'll find out when we get there as we're going through these ones. So that's another one. And then this one, why didn't Cinetwin have this many redos? But yeah, another dollar store Legions Grimlock. So another Grimlock version out of this mold. I'm not quite sure what this color scheme is going for. This is like orange and black and a bit of red. Well, it's not orange, sorry. This is bronzy.
Bronze, yeah.
Not brown, which the previous one was. This is more bronze than brown.
I mean, this is actually an interesting little color scheme, but it's just a bit out of left field, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, well, the last one was as well, so I guess it's on point. I guess it makes sense to someone. So,
yeah.
Again, we need a redo. What about bronze? Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Which do you like? Do you prefer the the Age of Extinction Grimlock version or the Family Store Grimlock? I think I like the Family.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Because I can convince myself it's not Grimlock. It could still be another color scheme. It could be a Cruel Lock color scheme or something like that.
I mean, the face has actually been painted rather than just being sprayed on like the other Grimlocks one seemed to be.
Yeah.
So, I think that Family Dollar one is the better of the two, which is...
And I'd say it's better than, what's his name, Jurarara? Because that one, as we said, was just make the blue purple, which is lame.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's Rippersnapper. Rippersnapper also came with the bowgun, so that's the second time we've had the bowgun so far.
Did we talk about Cindersaw?
Oh no, we didn't.
Cindersaw repaint. Because that at least is interesting for it being a legacy G1 character coming back.
Yes, they decided to. Hang on, I need to.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Okay, Abominus. So it is the same figure, but they made him pinkish. That's interesting. So unfortunately, he is still grey, primarily grey, but they have turned his arms not to purple like the Japanese did, but to a slightly pinkier purple version, kind of like a lighter version of the Decepticon purple. They also added a little bit of yellow to the chest, green to the face, and that's about it. Again, it's a fairness, weird repaint.
G1 Cindersaw was grey and purple, so
yeah, and for that, it does kind of work for Cindersaw. It's kind of Should they have done a translucent orange one where they're a bit of translucent? No, a bit of lime green on his back, and then his arms are translucent purple, and his face is like yellow. So we could have had some of the G2 Spark bots. Maybe. Why not do the rest of the Cindersaw kind of brigade? I don't know. I don't know. But it's not a crazy color scheme.
No,
but it came. What was it? It was a 2-pack with Predacon Rising Smokescreen, which I had as well.
Okay.
I don't know why I had this set. It's not even a very interesting set, to be honest. Maybe I got it on a deal. But yeah, that's Cindersaw. It's yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
So next up we have Blight, who we'll do with Blight and then we'll do Hungar. So Blight was my favorite, or Blot. It's meant to be Blot. He was big and chunky. He was the chunkiest out of them. I remember enjoying his transformation, and I remember like the robot mode's quite big and chunky, and the troll mode, whatever it's meant to be, is again really big and chunky. The head design, pretty good. Articulation wise, ball joints in the shoulder, I think has a sort of pseudo butterfly joint, but I can't really remember. Ball joints in the hips, and I think he had some joints in the knee, but not a knee bend, and then some ball joints in the feet as well. So the thing with this dude was chunk, and I remember, like I say, the way the transformation work is, I think you like pulled him like widthwise apart.
Handstand, isn't it?
He is, yes. Yes, that's one bad thing. You can see his fists on the inside of his troll mode, because there clearly wasn't enough space to hide them away inside the forearms.
Yeah. I mean, that's a nice interpretation of Blot, because Blot's always been built for Terracon, where people go, and what are you? He's supposed to be a troll, but it's always been like,
well, what does that
the fuck
mean?
is he?
Yeah.
What is he? And this looks like some sort of weird Pacific Rim type kaiju weird beastie. So yeah.
To me, it looks a little bit like. Did you ever read the Allspark Almanac from Animated?
I don't think I got around to it.
Have you ever seen the animated designs of what Skybite would have looked like?
Oh, I think I might have done, yeah.
I feel it's kind of like that. This feels more like a shark person, like King Shark kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mainly because he's got the little rim on the top of his head, but you saying like Pacific Rim monster as well? Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. The neat thing about it is like the way that his like robot hips kind of super splay apart just to give the troll mode, it's like wider shoulders and then you can flip the head down. It's quite neat. It's not amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a neat looking creature, I'd say, for the most part. And again, pretty cool robot mode.
And not more going on than you'd expect for a figure like this, you know?
Maybe could have done more at a deluxe scale if they'd done it. I mean, we know they wouldn't have, but they could have. He also comes...
One can dream.
Yeah, he comes with the boring hammer. It does say hammer gun, but it looked like a fucking shit gun, I can tell you that much. So there was the Rising version, which was the translucent version, but it's dark translucent plastic, so you can barely tell it's translucent. There was the Predacon Rising Blight version 2. I don't know why they called him Blight version 2, but this was a red version, which again looks actually pretty nice, I think.
Yeah.
If you wanted to say this is like do you remember when Godzilla went into meltdown mode in some of the movies and it glow red? Maybe this is the idea for this one.
It's a nice set of colors. That brighter teal they've used, offset to what's almost a corn red color. That's nice, and the grey works with it.
Yeah, it's not egregiously irritating like it sometimes is. So there's that, and then there's Burararara, which is the Japanese version, which oddly enough kind of takes cues from the previous one we looked at. He's in a darker red than that previous one with gold highlights. I prefer the face on this one because I think the yellow they used on Blight version 2 was a little much. They've just used a silver on this one's face. So again, this one is mostly similar to the last one. It's just in slightly darker red colors. What do you think of this one, Big D?
Again, I dig it. This sculpt seems to be on a bit of a winning track so far for repaints, because none of these have been particularly egregious, and the original was quite nice to look at as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I will say, one thing I do like about this figure is that the head sculpt on all the versions of him, he just, because it's that mono visor and almost the mouth is almost just a faceplate, he just exudes goon energy.
Oh, you know? Yeah, he's a thug.
You could see a legion of him, like the Viacons.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which I think would be quite hilarious to see just all the recolors as a mass of blots or blights. That's kind of... That's tickled me. That has just it works. The other ones all have. They've tried to give them Prime style faces, which don't really work at that size. No. They're really hard to do because Prime face sculpts lack detail anyway. You rely and you can't get much. It's really hard to get what you can to stand out. So for the goons, it's a lot easier because they are much blunter faces.
Yeah, and broader too.
Yeah, and this works. I mean, if someone was to troop build out of this guy, I wouldn't be surprised if someone had done, because if there's big goon squad energy here.
Well, I'd be interested to hear what the last version, what your thoughts on the last version is which is Rotgut.
My face!
I love this. This is the G2 version where he is in bright green and also vomit green for his limbs.
Have they given him a new head sculpt as well?
No.
Oh,
No,
it's just
it's the
painted
same.
differently.
Yeah, it's just because like his face is blue, capsuled into a lime green head with the bright red eyes. It does look a little bit different, but it is the same. I like this one. It's great.
I dig that. Yeah, this is
them calling him Rotgut as well. A great name for like the one that you could tell would probably be slimy.
Yeah.
This one looks less like a shark and he looks more like a toad man to me, like a giant frog person robot. I kind of wish. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's funny you say that he's one you can imagine being slimy because Blot has always been written in his bios as being the most disgusting Decepticon. That's his thing.
Yeah, he's a dirty one.
He's the one that somehow is always leaking, has bad oil. He's just the one who's always a mess, no matter how much he should be. He's told to clean up, and somehow he looks worse than he did when he went in.
I think I would have liked maybe one extra color placement instead of like the blue. We needed one color to offset how much green there was. Maybe even change the limb green to either a much darker green or a much lighter green. Like maybe just make it yellow, because it's just a little. I think it's, for me, the colors are just a little too close to each other.
I can see that. I mean, I do appreciate how. Let's say they haven't retooled anything, but if I would at first glance, I would swear that's a new head sculpt because it's not a particularly good redecorate. You can see paint bleed, you can see where stuff's been missed, but what it hints at, like, the fact that they've painted two eyes instead of just the mono visor.
Mm-hmm.
They painted the interior of the helmet, but not the chin strap, so it looks like a different configuration for the head. It's not easy to do that, but it actually does work for this figure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree that potentially another color would have been nice to add a bit more definition or contrast.
It's less egregious in the robot mode. It's more egregious in the animal mode, where all the blues are pretty much hidden, practically.
Yes, yeah.
I think,
but it also makes it seem much more like an actual disguise, which is, I know, what a novelty for a Transformer to actually be in disguise.
Yeah. So, I think that's all of the blight colors, blight, blot, rotguts, all of that. Finally, we have Hungar, the double-headed dragon. They have given him a quote-unquote attack mode in the image, they said.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah. This one comes with a gun from Gears of War, effectively. It's a gun with a chainsaw strapped to the bottom. I feel I got... I got this gun with other Legends figures, didn't I? That's right. Okay, so articulation-wise, he has mushroom pegs for bicep swivel. So there is a bicep swivel, technically. There are ball joints in the elbows, and then there are ball joints in the hips, and then that's it. He's more limited than the other ones, primarily because he doesn't have the balls in the ankle joints. So he's kind of limited in how he can pose. Doesn't really... Does he look like Hungar? I think it's maybe because of his color scheme that it doesn't scream Hungar.
Yeah.
Because he's red instead of purple.
Yeah, and I mean, Hungar's always been an odd one because he's mainly grey with a bits of purple, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that's not a terribly exciting colour scheme.
No.
And he's always been his head was always a bit generic.
Yeah.
I mean, the Terracons were a concept looking for a personality for the most part.
See, for me, Hungar always came across as the mediocre version of Sinatwin. Like, Sinatwin's the better version of Hungar, because he's a double-headed dragon lizard thing. Hungar is also a double-headed dragon lizard
That
thing.
always struck me as odd for one team of beasts, they have the same concept.
Yeah. I don't know why they did
the
it.
leader and one of the goons. It's like, all right.
Maybe they should have made Sinatwin like a Cerberus dog. That could have helped.
Yeah, that could have been,
extra head that is like a weapon instead. So he's got like a dog head weapon gun thing.
Yeah.
And then Hungar could have been like your stereotypical double-headed dragon or Hydra. Then it kind of it keeps the same aesthetic mostly. But then, like you say, they're just not the same.
Interesting, that.
Yeah, something they could have done. They didn't. I will say, I do think Hungar's double dinosaur dragon mode thing is okay. It's reasonably cute. I feel that this figure is not nearly as good as Sinatwin in both modes. But I like how, at least in this version, the heads are very much dragon heads. And he stands on his back legs as well, so he's different from the original Hungar, who was on all fours. So
why do I keep looking at that and thinking he needs wings?
Because he does. Because, like, a double-headed dragon without wings feels kind of sad.
Do we think Hasbro may have feared going up against the minds of Toho's lawyers?
Oh, yeah, I wonder. Oh, that might have been a nice repaint to do him into gold, right? King Ghidorah-esque colors. That could have been nice, actually. But like you say, legal woo-woo. The translucent version, they changed for some reason his white plastic to a lilac color for some reason, and then all of his red is translucent. So I don't know why they changed the white to lilac, but they did. And then they did Dorarara, which is the centerpiece for the Japanese version, which is actually pretty nice. It's done into yellow and black, and yellow and black works well. I think maybe not the issue, but I think a downside is that in Dragon mode, I think it's too much black for the neck. I think if you had like some gold on the bottom of the throat or on top of the neck.
Yeah, so something just to help it break things up a bit,
Yeah, maybe if they had more of a budget, the gold that they put on the legs for the dinosaur mode, or the dragon mode.
That's some nice gold paint reviews there. That on the back of the legs, on the back of the necks, could have worked really nicely.
Just to add just a little bit more pop. It would have looked nice in robot mode as well, I'm sure. But I think this one's solid. For some reason, he only got the 2. So some of the Predacons got a load of redos, and then a few of them just got nothing for reasons.
That's so bizarre, especially for a combiner team.
Yeah.
What, a combiner team that only works with this specific bunch of members. It's not like a Scramble Stick Your Combiner Wars team where they're interchangeable. You can only build for Combiner with these guys, and it's built into their whole shtick. That's why they're so compromised.
Yeah, it's worth talking about Abominus now, I guess, because the way that these did combine there were extra pegs and ports all over the mold, and that was to facilitate them pegging and porting into each other. So they do hold together reasonably well as Abominus. The problem is proportionally, he is messy, very, very messy. He doesn't look like he's an integrated combined mode with like limbs.
No,
it looks like he's hanging Cutthroat and Sinatwin off of his arms with rope. Like, if you picked up the best way to describe it is, if you get a baby and tie a rope around its ankles and then hang it off your biceps, you do a T-pose and do that. That's kind of what it looks like. It's very bizarre.
You know what it looks like? It looks like they're the world's most bizarre Cirque du Soleil act.
Yes, yeah, and they're making a slightly strange human pyramid. Because this poor boy has no waist. The waist goes all the way up to the chest. Proportionally, it's a fucking mess. It's very interesting. And I think
Yeah.
this was like, if you compare this to like Dino King is just clearly better. It's much better. The problem is it's much more expensive. I think it's like double the price or more than what Abominus came out for. But it is much better, and you can do stuff with it. With this, not really.
Yeah.
It can kind of move, but because it doesn't have like a lot of joints, it's got no elbow joints, obviously. It does have shoulder joints, it does have hip joints, but I don't think it has knee joints. Pretty sure it doesn't.
I mean, this was more fun just because it was the first version of Abominus since G1.
Well, I would say these are really good for kids. This is a really good kid combiner
absolutely.
as well, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not too faffy. It's just putting pegs into ports, and unless the kids break those pegs, which granted, they could do, it's reasonably easy to get together, and you could just pick it up and smash it into something, I suppose. It's like,
and it is worth pointing out, because I know we haven't talked a lot about the rest of the Legends class for Prime.
Yeah.
But overall, from my recollection, a lot of them were very toyetic, very fun to mess around with. I know I certainly had a couple of the Cyberverse Commander figures they did.
They were better because there was more to them.
Yeah, but across the whole line, it was a good entry sort of price point. It was pocket money toys.
Yeah, because if I remember, and you can correct me on this, Big D, I'm pretty sure the standard Legion figures were like £3.
Something like that, yeah.
Like
they weren't they weren't terribly expensive.
No.
They weren't massively complicated, but they were still fun. And then for like an extra few quid, you went to Commander Point, you got some translucent weapons, you got some gimmickry in play that you could do stuff with, and it was Prime often gets overlooked for that aspect, but it did have a good entry level play point established.
Yeah, obviously not too low, just on the basis that you couldn't give like a £3 Transformer Micromaster Legends figure to a toddler because they'd eat it.
Oh god, no!
But yeah, like you say, they were very good for just like, Mummy, I want a thing. All right, shut up. Here's your fucking £2 Transformer or £3 Transformer. Like, yeah, it's
absolutely.
Not bad. And this again is just like, it's not bad. There was obviously we do have the candy toy version where he's all translucent and still looks weird, just now translucent. I don't think there's much to say with that. And then there was Goradora, I think his name is, and this is the Japanese. Yeah, and this is the Japanese combined versions which we talked about. And I think the colors might work a little bit better on this one. And I think
so, yeah.
I think it's because Hungar is a better color scheme in this set. Whatever.
I think all that black helps a lot.
Yeah.
As much as we said that some gold would have been nice, in this case, having it be as black as it is helps to mask some of the deficiencies for white.
Yeah.
On the regular version, just couldn't.
Do you think it's weird looking at this that all of the limbs have that grey plastic in it, but Hungar doesn't have any of it?
That's a very good point.
It almost seemed like that grey is a unifying colour, but then Hungar just went, no, I'm not doing that.
You know what? I wonder how they would look with the rest of the world version of Hungar. And vice versa.
I think Hungar's the problem for the American set, though. I'm not sure it would look good with it. I don't know. It's one of those things, mix and match. Maybe it would work. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's he only got the 2. There was no other versions of this Hungar. So even though there were multiple repaints of some of them, just not all of them for some reason.
Yeah, that's. You know what? I hadn't realised there were that many repaints of the limbs.
Some of them.
Yeah, but it's just so weird that there were so many bits of that team, but not others. It's weird.
It's odd. It's bizarre. So that's the Legends done with. We can move on to the Deluxes, where Bulkhead goes from a Voyager to Voyagers, because first edition he was a Voyager, and he's been shunted down to Deluxe scale. Everything's resculpted. He's a purely brand new figure at this point.
Yeah.
Did you
and
have him?
appears to be. I didn't. I wish I did, though, because he appears to be cosplaying as Roadbuster.
Yes, yeah. Color scheme wise, he's gone for the Roadbuster colors. Face wise, I think it throws me off because I see the translucent blue bits in the top of his forehead and his eyes, and that looks like a mouth to me. 2 eyes and a mouth.
It's an odd head look, isn't it?
Because it's almost good. If you got rid of the two, I guess, nipples in his forehead and you just had it as one big blue visor, I think that would look quite good.
I mean, if they were painted the same as the rest of the helmet, that would probably have done it for world of good. But
it's translucent, so that's just a light pipe. So just don't have those in.
Which is even weirder.
Yeah, it's odd. But yeah, the issue with the robot mode, it looks like he's got gorilla arms, unfortunately, unless he's got wrist joints, which I don't think he does.
Does he have shoulder joints? Because
yeah, he's got ball joints in the shoulders.
So, well, I mean for the just underneath at the top of the bicep, because
for like up and down.
But there's nothing in the wrist, so that doesn't really help much because then he's just doing the weightlifting pose.
Yeah, the gorilla pose, unless he does have wrist joints that we can't see. But it's hard to tell. I'm going to assume he probably doesn't.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I actually like this design, and if it just had, for the sake of a joint in each wrist, and it could be
better. Yeah, just be better.
Yeah,
I think an issue from the looks of things looks like he does have a lot of back shell, like a lot of back shell, like he almost looks like a turtle. Which doesn't look great, but for vehicle mode, the vehicle mode looks good. It looks like future Roadbusters would use this design, I'm pretty sure, at least this look. And it looks like Bulkhead's vehicle just improved with orange now on the front. And
I mean, it's basically the Thrilling 30 Roadbuster alt mode, just scaled down.
Yeah.
And for Beast Hunter's alt modes, it's probably the least offensive in terms of extra greebling going on.
Random shit. Yeah, I agree. It's reasonably normal.
It still looks like a car you could imagine seeing on the road.
Yeah. It's one that someone's decided to make into a killdozer, but it still looks normal. Yeah. Relatively normal. And I like the weapon he comes with, the Dragon Grinder. It's a giant chainsaw or rotary blade. Yeah. Which is quite
and this
cool.
This one did have quite a fun feature where you pushed the lever and the disc spun, which is always fun.
Yeah, it's not like the Automorph weapons where you have to hold them down, which we'll be talking about later with Thundertron. But this one's fine. This is
the sort of gimmicky weapon that it's a gimmick that makes sense.
Yeah, agreed. The color scheme did get reused for the Cyberverse toy, but we're not talking about Cyberverse toys. Otherwise, that's it. He never got reused. Yeah, this was a one-shot, which is weird because if you remember, Ratchet got used a lot. This one did not.
Yeah. I'm always surprised when I see, especially some of these Prime figures that didn't get any extra redecos.
You wonder if, like, the factory thought the mold, well, not the factory, but Hasbro or Takara just thought the mold was bad and didn't want to use it, or they saw the numbers and went, well, no one's buying it. We just won't use it again. Who knows?
This was the tail end of Prime. Beast Hunters, we know,
they were probably winding down as well. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we know that Beast Hunters was not what was intended to be the third year or the third season. It was supposed to be something different, and they had to pivot real hard, real quick. So it's not surprised that some of what came out of it was just kind of weird.
No, agreed. Yeah,
and half baked. Because, like I said, so many of these figures have been just shy of being absolute blinders.
Yeah, we've got Laser back now. This is the introduction of the Predacons, where this one turns into a chicken dinosaur thing. One thing that's worth mentioning straight off the bat, I can't remember how many of these have it, but I know some of them do. The Predacons have rubbery plastic in them for some reason.
Yeah, I've got a box full of these because years ago I won a. Was it an auction? No, it was someone on Facebook in one of the selling groups was selling a pretty much all the Predacons
Oh yeah.
near enough. So I got pretty much pretty much all of them, including a bunch of the repaints. So I've got doubles of almost all the sculpts,
Hmm.
and they all do have that rubbery plastic in places, which is to mimic the effect of them being reptiles. But that's the gimmick in a lot of ways. They've used it in the past on other toy lines, Hasbro.
It's just
And
one
not
of
just
those
Hasbro,
things where it
just
just feels inappropriate because it doesn't feel like it's necessary. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
really do
but-
anything.
yeah. There are places where it just kind of gets in the way because it stops you doing some stuff because weapons the stuff either warps or it just won't. You're worried you're going to break it. So
Yeah. So with Laserback, you've got this mold, right?
yes.
So I would say for this mold, I don't think it's a terrible mold. I don't think it's a very good mold. I think it's a very 5 out of 10. Like it's very basic, like not terrible,
Yes.
not great, just it's fine. But
Yeah.
I think the color scheme on this version of it, because he does have repaints, this version is hideous. I don't like the color scheme on this at all, which is weird because I should like red, black, purple. But
It's not a particularly balanced color scheme, is it?
no, I think that's mainly it. There's quite a lot of colors like purple, yellow, red, and black, and then it's just kind of it's primarily red, but then the other three colors are almost kind of sneezed over the rest of the figure in some ways. Like his feet are purple, the rim of his gun's purple, part of his head for his beast mode is purple. Like the movable joints, like for rotating the wrists around and the bottom of the legs are yellow for some reason, which always looks weird.
Yeah,
it's just odd.
It is. I mean, like you say, it's not great. I consider it as a good baseline for Predacons because he is kind of like the grunt, effectively. But it's so weird, and like you say, the colors are just like, what now?
Yeah, and he comes with a removable tail for a weapon, which is fine. And then his back comes off and turns into a gun. For some reason, the red part splits open to reveal the gun is black. But now technically the gun now has these red wings hanging off the side of it, which is a bit odd. But
yeah,
okay.
and I think they were that soft plastic as well, so they were a bit weird.
That was it. For some reason, that those red bits on top of the gun. I completely forgot that was the bit that was the rubbery plastic on him.
Yeah,
but again,
and they will never plug together securely because of
what they
sort
are.
Of plastic. That sort of rubber plastic never pins together if you have those sort of joins.
No, because there's no friction with it because it's a rubbery plastic, so it's not frictiony. Now, I do think he got redone much better as Gaidora in Japan, where they gave him a new head sculpt for some reason. I think a better head sculpt. And then they colored him in a dark green and a very dark red, and then some kind of bronzy colors as well. And he looks far better. He looks very sinister in his weird chicken mode, I think. Do you prefer this?
That's quite a tasty repaint.
Yeah.
And the odd thing is that a lot of the complaints we had for the previous one could still stand, but it's the colours they've gone with. They're balanced better.
Yes.
So although you've got that dark orange for the connection joints of the ankles and the wrists, but it goes into a deep crimsony red, which feels
maybe.
Maroon, it goes into that deep maroon that's much more tonally consistent.
Yeah.
And purple to yellow. And you have that lovely. It's a metallic green, isn't it? It looks like there's a slight flake to it. I could just be the light, but
I can't remember, to be honest.
It just looks nicer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think generally the painting on the head is better because the previous one didn't highlight the face the same way for the bird mode. No, they
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, if you look, the black or the purple is just
It's just
covering
the
all
whole
the
head.
Yeah, well, this
Mm.
one, it's
They
they've painted the top of the head to look like a helmet almost, and then painted like the green to go slightly under the jaw as well, so it almost looks like it's an armored vulture or something like that.
they've made an effort.
Yeah, it feels like
the other one
there's skill
doesn't
here.
feel quite so much.
No, yeah, the other one feels like a kid went, I've got this, Jeff. I'll have this colored by tonight, and the other one went, I'll give this to an artist to do it instead. But yeah, again, the mold very just like it's okay, it's fine.
Yeah. Then we have Vertebrae, which is
It's better. I like this
Yes.
better than the standard American release, but it's not nearly as good as the Japanese release still.
No.
It's still got some points like the head in the chicken mode, which I don't think is great, but I do appreciate that the head's color scheme continues down the center of the body. So he's got an orange head, he's got an orange back, and he's got an orange tail. And then like
And
the
they've got
side
the
of his
yellow
body is
stripes
yellow.
they carried on with, so that's nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's not as good, but again, it's more consistent. I think the details are a little bit easier to see. It's maybe not the sexiest yellow. It's a little bit of a sickly yellow. Not piss yellow,
It is a
but
bit.
sickly yellow. It's the kind of yellow that they'd use on a bumblebee and then paint orange next to it and be like, oh, it's the same yellow, right? It's consistent.
Yeah.
Like, no.
It's like a yellow that's been bleached in the sun.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
It's had a lot of the richness drawn out of it. It still works, but it's just you just look and go,
There are nicer yellows out there.
Yeah.
A more bumblebee yellow would have been nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this one's fine. This is my second favorite out of the three of them. Would you say that?
I would.
Yeah.
I'd say so, yeah.
Next up, we have Dreadwing, who had a weird look to him. Strangely enough, I wanna ask you, Big D, do you think the robot head looks like it's had contrast paints put on it?
Yes.
Because all of the edges look like they barely have any paint on them or have been highlighted, which is very contrast paint. I just looked at it today and went, what? I don't think they have contrast paint.
Have they just put a really bad wash over everything, or is it using that weird swirly plastic?
It's not the swirly plastic, definitely. It looks like they just didn't have enough pigment and it was painted with like super watery paint, or like you said, done with a shade for some reason. But that's the only part of the figure that's been done with a shade, seemingly.
I mean, for wings, the back of the jet mode has a similar sort of thing going on.
Yeah, it does actually. It looks like
and
someone's not very well used Agrax Earth shade on it.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've seen this in the past. Well, in recent years with Hasbro, because they seem to have a very weird relationship with washes and picking out detail from time to time, don't they?
Yeah, I just don't think you can do a factory battle damage unless you're making an expensive figure and thus can put more money into the painting. Yeah, you just let customizers do this stuff.
Yeah.
Because this is again kind of ugly. I don't know how I feel about the robot mode in general, because they've given him pigeon feet and then the sort of wings behind his back, but then that's it. It's just Dreadwing.
Yeah.
With weird colors. Obviously, very strange color scheme, but
it's such a weird figure.
Yeah. Have they given him owl eyebrows as well? You know, that stereotypical owl that has like really oversized eyebrows? Is that what they're going for his animal kind of?
I think they've tried to give him like in some Asian mythologies you have demons with that sort of horn effect.
The horn. You think they're trying to make him an Oni?
I think so. I think that's the vibe they're going for.
See, I say
on the head sculpt at least.
See, I say the owl because of the feet and the eyebrows and the sort of wings, rather than an Oni, because I don't think anything else really matches up to
That's true.
monster aesthetic apart from the Predacon.
It's such a weird design.
It is. Excel Hedge says, "What did they do to my boy Dreadwing? I don't want to hear any compliments about Legacy Dreadwing ever again." Oh, complaints about Legacy Dreadwing. The thing is, I think this mold could maybe work if it again had a better color scheme. The fact that the robot mode has bright yellow feet, then badly painted yellow, so it's technically a different yellow, even though it's meant to be the same yellow. Then he's got orange on the knees. He's got his standard blue. He's got the standard grey plastic that Hasbro was using at the time for his thighs and his shoulder biceps. Then he's got lilac for his elbow joints for some reason. Then he's got silver for his fingers, but not his thumb. And then he's got dark grey for his shoulder pads. And then he's got gold for his face. And then he's got this weird wash around his helmet. There are a lot of very strange color choices just all over this figure. It's like the Ratchet figure. Do you remember the Beast Hunters Ratchet where you look at it and you're like, this is just kind of messy with what they did with its color scheme? But then we got to see like the Transformers Adventure version, which was the green version of that Beast Hunters Ratchet, and it looked really cool. I think this could have had a really cool repaint from Japan if they'd done it. Because if you look at the Beast Hunters Jet mode, that looks pretty fun. I'm not going to say cool. I think pretty fun because they've given him gigantic 90s purple missiles, and then they've attached the stupid gigantic weapon on the underside of his jet mode, which is a double-sided axe chainsaw. Which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's very much a Khorne weapon. And it's a missile because it goes on the end of a gun, which also has a chainsaw on the bottom of it. So the weapon's kind of neat. I think, again, this mold could... Because the jet mode's not too bad. Granted, you can see his fucking hands in jet mode, which is really annoying, but the Legend did that as well. Not the Legend, the Legion, the Cyberverse Commander. That's the one.
Yeah.
I think this could have worked with a better color scheme. I don't know how good the transformation is on it, because I never had it, but why the lilac? Why is the lilac there?
There's just some, like we said, there's some weird choices going on here.
Yeah.
I think you're right, because you can see the jet mode, they painted a bloody beak on the front of the nose cone, so they've clearly trying to go for an avian style for him, but it's just all over the place with colours.
Beast Hunters didn't know what they were doing. I don't know who they got to paint these figures, but they had no idea what they were doing. I
think it's whoever's still in the workshop at like 5 p.m.
The janitor just comes in. No, again, maybe I was right. Maybe it was just one of their kids.
Yeah, and I hate crapping on it because clearly there has been a lot of work gone into some of these because these are not uncomplicated designs. There's a lot going on. It's just, it feels like it was first draft and someone said, yeah, we'll take these, tool them.
Mm-hmm.
And they just didn't get that. They didn't have the time to give them that extra pass to tighten things up.
I don't even know if it's like you can say gave them the time for the pass because this is the color scheme that they went with, and they've made this mistake with these bizarre colors on multiple figures. So I think it was just the design aesthetic that they wanted to go for. I just don't know where they were coming from with it. Like, I don't know why they chose it. It worked with Beast Hunters Megatron, the Voyager. But I think that was just because they happened, maybe by accident, to choose good colors that kind of work together somehow. XL Hedge says, Beast Hunters Ratchet, you mean Mayor Megatron? That's the one. Well, yeah, he was technically Transformers Adventures Megatron, and then he was part of the Legends comic, if I remember. But yes, that one. Yeah, this guy never got reused. Maybe he could have looked better. Next up, we have Ripclaw. I had Ripclaw. And Ripclaw has some interesting points. I
Hmm.
really like the design. I love the fact that it has Ultron's head, effectively. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
The knees are really ugly, as there's just a giant gap in there, but that's to facilitate getting the backwards chicken leg for the dinosaur mode. It's got ball jointed ankles. It's got ball joints in the hips, but they don't really allow you to do an outward split. They're more so to let you swing forward and backwards. There is a mushroom peg or ball joint in the forearm, so you can spin it round. But then there's also like a normal elbow joint. And then there is a ball joint for the shoulders. And then there are two kind of floaty shoulder pads that can move around as well. And there's some wings on the back as well. The issue with this figure is it has a gigantic tail out the back of it, which has a giant piece of rubbery plastic going up the back of it. And for the dragon mode, the dragon top half of the head is also in a rubbery plastic. This figure's okay again. There are aspects about it I like. I like the mold of the dragon head. I don't like how it comes together. And I think, again, overall, the dinosaur mode or the dragon mode looks okay. And the weapon being a claw that goes on the end of the dragon tail is, again, okay. It gives it an interesting look.
Yeah.
The colors aren't the best, I'd say.
No, like I say, he's got a nice... There's a nice silhouette going on. The issue with the knees you mentioned, that to me has always kind of like been part of the charm because it gives him something different.
Yeah.
For the aesthetic. And it's not like we've not seen Transformers try and use negative space before. It's just it's nice to see them, using things like that in design, even if it's not intentional, but that's how it ends up looking. Like you say, he is okay. I think it is the colours that probably do the most disservice to it.
Well, it's also the tail, because you can't do anything with that tail in robot mode.
No,
it sticks off the arse. You can't fold it away. It takes up a lot of space just because it's like curved.
It does,
but it does help the figure balance, I suppose, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
There's that. You can loosen the tail as well. I can't remember how loose it gets, but that's why it's a rubbery bit of plastic, I suppose. It was remolded into Baku Dora for Japan as part of their Go line, where they remolded the head again, and I'd argue the head mold again is maybe better. And color scheme wise, it's a bit more cohesive color scheme, where instead of it being, because I didn't mention this before, instead of it being a tealy green color, red, a toffee kind of yellowy color, and then random bits of yellow, and then red. For the Bakudora, we've gone for gray, black, blue, and red. Again, helping pull the figure together a little bit more. Now, obviously, it still keeps the weird rubbery parts here and there, and it still has the stupid tail, which you can't do anything with. It's still stuck with that giant bit of plastic. But I think that, again, the robot mode has a better look to it. I think you probably get more head articulation as well, because the head's a little smaller. So in the giant collar, where the previous head was, you couldn't really do a huge amount because it was quite sunk in. This one looks like it's a bit raised as well, which helps.
It's a cracker of a head sculpt as well, let's be honest.
It's really good.
That's a head sculpt that exudes breast force energy.
Yeah, it's very much Guy Hawk, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then with little horns on his head. Do you have any other thoughts on Bakudora?
Nothing I've really said, mate. I mean, it's like you say, the colours just come together better.
Yeah.
I'd actually have been intrigued to see this colour scheme on the previous head sculpt as well, to be fair, to see how that would have worked.
Oh, that would be nice, yeah.
I mean, one of the things we haven't really pointed out is that some of these Takara redos, because they were effectively for a different toy line to Prime, they've tried to give them slightly more G1 heads in the sculpts.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas the mainline releases have that very Prime head sculpt energy going on, so the faces are weird.
Or can be. Yeah, definitely. I agree
with
that. Excel Head says, boys, a silver head away from being Death's head. I think he leaves for Ripclaw. That could have been interesting to see, to be fair.
That's actually a good shout, to be honest, yeah.
Next up, we have Skylings. I think this one got... Yeah, it did. It got recolored a couple of times. I never had Skylings, but he turns into a weird bird thing. Looking at it, it's got some weird proportions. I like the fact that in robot mode it stands on its chicken legs. I don't like the fact that the wings hang off the back of it, and I'm not really quite sure what's going on with the head. It looks like the head's in the process of being eaten. But the actual head mold looks a little bit like a Viacon from Beast Machines. Looks a bit like Obsidian, somewhat.
Yeah, this mold has always been a bit of a... I've always liked how it looks, but it's a ball ache to actually get to do anything because the wings are just...
so way back.
They're heavy because they have... They're where the gimmick is. Because it's like a missile/disc launcher. And yeah, there's a lot of weight there. And you can't do much with them. You either have them forward in attack mode or you have them back. There's nothing else you can do, sadly.
No.
Which is a shame because it's a fun figure to mess with. It's just you can't really do much else other than rest against a wall, like they've done for pictures here.
Are the rubber bits his robot hands and then the horns on the dragon griffin mode thing? Is that it?
I can't swear to it, but I think that might have been, yeah.
I ask about the hands because it looks like the hands are a different colored plastic, but like almost they look rubbery to me visually.
I think they were because the wings were, well, I say, because the wings have all the stuff in there are harder plastic, so they're heavy as hell.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, the legs are quite fun to have they work, and it's fine. Again, it's okay. It's just let down by
visually. At least I like the beast mode. I think the beast mode looks quite interesting. It looks a little bit like a mount from Fifth Ed Fantasy Battle kind of thing. Yeah, like a really thin dragon thing. It's just that robot mode. It's like you say, just clearly it's weighed down by its gimmick in a lot of ways. So good dragon, bad everything else. It got redone or was originally done as Prime Skystalker, which is a much shitter color scheme, I will say, where he's primarily just blue. I think this was the first version, to be fair, and then I think he got done into Skylinks, which was white primarily with like dark blue and red highlights, which was much better. And then he got also done for Japan into Judora, where he has a super Oni-styled head, like he's got a third eye. And in terms of color schemes, it's quite good. It's like it's Toxitron colors, basically. It's dark purple and then a kind of slimy green. My only complaint, I suppose, is because the face is such a dark purple, at least in the image here, the singular robot image, the head's kind of lost a little bit.
Yeah, that's the only real downside to it. Because like I say, it's quite a nice color scheme. Otherwise, it's just, you can't, that head's lovely, but you can't make much detail out of it from far away.
No, it's probably better in person, obviously, but we can only go off what's on the pictures. I think it's also funny that the picture of the beast mode is blurry. It's out of focus.
Oh, yes.
It's very out of focus. But the beast mode looks nice. I do like the look of it. I think that's clearly its strongest mode. Starscream next. Beast Hunter Starscream, where he's obviously been downgraded to a Voyager scale. Color scheme wise, he's once again all over the place. Not nearly as all over the place, I think, as Dreadwind. But he is black, lilac, gray, red, piss yellow, and a darker gray as well. So again, he's all over the place, color scheme. Oh, and his weapon's maroon or burgundy. So once more, he is all over the place. In robot mode, doesn't have as strange of a design visually. He's got some extra points and spiky bits on him. And his wings have these little kind of hooks on the end of them, but that's really it visually. So it doesn't look like he's changed dramatically that much. He has, but not nearly as much as some of the others. In jet mode, I think it's more obvious that he's a little bit more pointy and spiky, and they've given him some extra giant purple missiles as well. Then obviously you can add his gigantic weapon under the vehicle mode, which looks like you actually have to untransform the feet to give enough room. So his robot feet are sticking out the side of his jet mode because I guess the weapon's too big for the vehicle mode or something. It looks
that's
weird.
Kind of hilarious.
Here's a question. Why does he have a giant black and radar antenna sticking out the top of his robot mode? Do you see it?
Good. Yeah, that's.
Do you see how it transfers over to the vehicle mode? How it just hangs, this black radar like antenna just lies down over the center of the jet mode to the cockpit.
That's
very odd.
So weird.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Is it meant to be trying to continue like his forehead crest, like the little point in the center of his forehead? Is it meant to be that?
Maybe. Honestly, I've never really looked at this figure too closely in the past. I hadn't really noticed, to be fair, but that's really weird.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
If it is meant to be a continuation of his head crest, should it have been red? Because that would have really that wouldn't have that wouldn't have helped the vehicle mode. That would have looked really weird for the vehicle mode.
I mean, with how they've configured for wings for the robot mode, with that antenna, it almost looks like he's got a pteranodon on his back.
yeah, I could see it. Yeah,
it's given off that sort of silhouette. So I don't know if that might be the intent, and then they just couldn't work out what to do with it for the transformation.
Who knows, right? His weapon is apparently called the Thunder Talon, and I have no idea visually looking at it what it does. I imagine it's a grabber claw, right?
I think so. So there's a grabber at one end, and there are wings that come out at the other.
And the wings at the other end look like they can fold in, right?
And I think you pull on the. No, what do you say this? The purple bit sticking out at the other end.
Oh no, that's maroon as well. But I know the bit. It looks like a missile, right? But,
yeah. I think that's how you activate it. But
or do you push that in, and then it closes the claws?
Some combination thereof.
Or
but
maybe you push that in, and then the wings go in, and then also the claws go in. It's bizarre. It's a very weird weapon, and clearly unwieldy. Because the peg's put in the middle of it. So if you look at Starscream's arms, the big bit at the back with the wings, I'd say are gonna cover like
he's never gonna hold that.
It's gonna cover all of his forearms, so he's not gonna get an elbow bend. I'm gonna say it's gonna at least probably go up to the shoulder, right? Surely.
Oh yeah, that's got big hyper bazooka vibes going on.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, he's not holding it. No way.
I mean, there's not even any. There's no holes in the hands to hold anything because they've been sculpted basically in. No.
There is a hole in the hand. It's the it's the RC effect where the thumb is just like the O part. I'm pretty sure you. Don't 100% me because Hasbro could have really fucked up, but I think that's what it is because if you remember, that's how a lot of the Prime figures like Knockout were as well. So I'm making that assumption.
But I remember that Starscream was, I think, quite notorious for not having the best hands.
This one?
Just Prime Starscream in general, because of how spindly his design was. There were limits to what they could do.
I don't remember if I don't think the Voyager had to hold anything in its hands. I know the first edition didn't have to hold anything in its hands, so that wasn't an issue for that one. But I'm not sure. I don't know. But yeah, this figure wasn't ever redone. This was the only version of this figure. Again, with a nicer color scheme. It definitely could work. 100% could work. It would still look fucking weird. But again, a better color scheme could pull it together. I'd say between this and Dreadwing, I think this one has the slightly better color scheme. Maybe. No, I think it does have the slightly better color scheme because it's not quite as egregious. I don't think it's nearly as egregious. It's still stupid. I just don't think it's as bad.
Is it odd though to say that how odd it is that Prime Starscream probably had the least repaints of any version of Starscream? In that normally you get a Starscream and inevitably you have a cavalcade of Seekers coming down in every color of the rainbow.
Yeah, I think the one that got the most was the first edition because Japan made him into Thundercracker and into Skywarp, and America didn't.
And Collectors Club got a Slipstream. But
that's right. Yeah,
that's it.
And I think we talked about it last time that the Voyager didn't get any redos. I don't think, and this one hasn't had any redos either. I will say the head mold on this is very nicely sculpted. It's very sharp details for the smirk and the and stuff like that. So they did a good job there. I think it's mainly again the paint scheme. Maybe the mold still wouldn't be amazing, and they've still got the stupid giant gun. But again, a better color scheme could have helped pull it together, which we've seen.
Give it a fighting chance.
Yeah. On to the Voyagers now. We have Thundertron, who has a couple of fun things. He has a removable foot, which you can turn into almost a parrot, or a thing that looks sort of like a parrot, so you can pretend. That's fun. So you can.
I always put that on the back of his wrist, so it's like a buckler.
Oh, if you use the ankle points as like wings, and then the brown, you want to call it brown, you can pretend that's a little robot head, and you can kind of stand it up to make it look like a little bird. And he's a pirate.
Well, that's cute.
Yeah, it's not perfect. You gotta squint a little bit, but it's like fair enough. Design wise, I think visually it's really good. It's got some questionable things, like he's got the translucent wrists because that's what the Voyagers had for some reason for Prime, which I don't know why. But again, visually, I like the claws on the top of the shoulder. I like the head design. It's kind of a mix between Transformers Prime and movie design. I wouldn't say, apart from the peg leg, he screams pirate-esque.
No, I mean, the hip skirts give you a bit of that Buccaneer coat effect.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and you kind of like got epaulets from the claws on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
But for what's supposedly a pirate, he's kind of understated.
Yeah.
For what you'd expect. I mean, honestly, you'd kind of expected him to be in either much more black or possibly even more vibrant colors, and this is a character who's in bright blue and crisp white.
At the very black or red, pirate colors, generally speaking. But I think generally I like how this figure looks. The beast mode, however, is not great, as most Lion formers are. Usually not great. He also has rubber plastic because he has his little rubber tail, which is super nice either. And we have more, I think more translucent plastic is revealed on the back of his mane. You can quite easily see the robot head as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, because he just kind of like pushes down.
Yeah, so it's not a great Lion mode. The robot mode's much better, but
And gosh, he does have big Zoid's energy going on, doesn't he?
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing, obviously. That's not
at all. But it's always been something I've chuckled at, that he came out as and was clearly inspired by, was it Leo Zite?
Isn't it Liger Jack?
Liger Jack.
No? I don't know. Mikey would know if he was here.
Yeah.
That guy.
The white and blue lion one.
Yeah. One. Yeah, it definitely has a lot of that kind of look to it. I remember, though, unfortunately, him being, at least my copy, being quite loose. Like he's a little like if you pick him up by the head and shake him, like his limbs are going to start wobbling all over the place. It's not going to hold its position, which is a bit of a bummer.
That's a shame. Mine was always relatively stable, so
I bet if you picked him up, did you ever pick him up by the head and shake him though?
Well, no, because I'm not an animal.
Yeah, I have a feeling he'd be a little bit loosey-goosey if you tried that. He did come with another shit Voyager-class weapon. This one's super egregious because it's his cutlass. So you can either have him holding a wonky cutlass, or you can have him you can break the thing so you can get the sword out, which is what I did. I broke the action feature and pegged it into his hand because I was just like, I don't care, I don't like this.
I think in the end I just pegged mine into the forearm, so it's like he's got a arm blade folded back and swings it forward.
It's just shitty, isn't it? It's not fun. Like, this is a thing where you have to hold a button for it to have a sword come upwards. Does it have action feature? No. Does it have lights or sounds? No. You could have saved plastic and parts by just making the sword.
Yeah, because look at how chunky it is as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts.
Plastic just in that base unit, when all you really want is a sword.
Yeah.
With potentially two connection posts at most. One so you could stick it on the back, one so you could hold it in the hand. That's all you need.
This does less than most of them, because at least some of them kind of come together or kind of unfold and then pieces kind of poorly slot together, you know? This just flipped forward and it's like, oh, okay.
I mean, there's good reason that one of the most common KO parts you can find on the market is a version of this sword blade with just a regular post.
I mean, that just makes sense, to be fair.
And it's been like that pretty much since this figure came out.
Yeah. It's a shame.
And it is, because it's just it's such a waste. And so many of these weapons were the same that I get they wanted a gimmick, they wanted something fun, but the amount of expense that went into developing these things, and they were just shit.
Yeah, I think clearly there's a reason why we don't have these kind of weapons anymore. Too expensive, not very fun. You know, it's worthless.
I mean, Siege Ironhide has a gimmick where his bazooka can turn into a hammer, and that's great. It's just nice, simple, folds, click, done.
Yeah, it's one joint.
So, yeah.
Which you have control over. That's the thing. You have control over it. It's not a spring or anything dumb like that.
Yeah. It's just...
So, in terms of redos, he got done for Japan into Go Prime, which is a little bit more sinister of a color scheme, but not piratey still. He's black and gray and still has the shitty translucent parts on him for some reason. I will say I don't like the head as much. They've colored the forehead plate black and the beard black with the mustache part silver, which is nice. But then all of the detail for the face is sort of lost, I feel. Like, it's hard to actually see it as well.
It's a bit of a shame because, dang, the rest of it, I kind of dig. That slightly pearlescent white plastic they've used actually works for this, because it's not the whole figure. There's more going on, because they've used that nice glossy black.
Just wish they got rid of the translucent plastic for something else, you know? They did, however, do the smart thing and get rid of the shitty sword gimmick and just gave him 2 swords. And they look pretty much like ninja swords or whatever, so that's good. So there's that one. There's also the Botcon Alpha Trizer, which is the obvious Alpha Trion just repainted, which I think is pretty ugly, to be honest. They've done him in Alpha Trion colors, but the issue is at least an extra issue is the head's just white with a bit of silver paint on. So
if the head had actually been painted to match Alpha Trion, that might have helped this a lot.
I think they tried, but I think they should have done the front headpiece, like the purple, right? At the very least.
Yeah. I mean, he needs like the head crest to have the 2 purple wings coming off it. That could have helped. Because otherwise, it's just so plain otherwise. Yeah. Especially when there's so much going on with the rest of it.
Yeah. Good. It does have the shitty sword. Good thing it has the 2 swords as well from Japan. So that's something.
Oh,
That's
nice.
good.
Yeah.
So if you want, I'm sure what you do is you'd get that shitty sword from the American version, you'd throw it away into the box, and then you just give them the 2 Japanese swords. To be fair.
No translucent though.
No, that's a good point. Yes, all the translucent plastic has been replaced, which is really good.
And in places painted, because that's actually some nice detail on the forearms where they painted the. Yeah, that does make a difference.
I just don't think, for me, I don't think I like the Alpha Trion color scheme, generally speaking. So I think that's my main issue with this. It's just like a color choice preference more so than anything else.
That's fair. I mean, they've gone through a thing in the last few years of trying to, the last decade and a bit, of trying to put the Alpha Trion colors on beast formers.
Oh yeah,
and it never really works.
No, well, I mean, Alpha Trion wasn't meant to turn into anything clearly.
No.
So they never had to worry about color placement, or maybe they did. I don't know.
And bless them, they've been trying ever since to make it work.
Yeah. Bless them. So that's Thundertron. Obviously, he has a new version, which I don't think is good as this visually. I think this one has the better silhouette to the new one, to be honest. I think this one looks better, even though it has issues to it. What do you prefer, the new one, or do you prefer the old one?
It's a tough one. The new one, the old one, I do miss the shoulder pads. The fact that they changed how that works on the new one is a bit of a shame. But I get it, because it works, I think, better for the transformation way they've done it. It's weird. I don't have the Star Seekers or the Star Raiders version yet, because that's on my pickup list.
Isn't that the one that came in a 3-pack?
It is.
That's exactly the same, apart from it's like a darker blue or a lighter blue. And
a different head sculpt.
Oh, that's right. It's slightly different.
That one's got the same head as the Prime version, whereas the initial release had a more G1 styled head, which kind of cheeky of them.
Yeah.
In retrospect, not unexpected, because
that's what they do to Prime. That's just what they do with the Prime figures.
Yeah, but I mean, I always have a soft spot for this one, because he was one of the first really new characters that didn't really have a precedent in the setting before. Even though they've never really done anything with him, just the idea of a faction of pirate transformers, that's kind of fun. Yeah,
it works perfect for a cartoon as well as the third faction.
Yeah,
but not as like big threat, just more of an annoying antagonist that can pop in and like the Orcs, Orcs from 40K. XLHead says, so can we blame TFCon or BotCon for associating AlphaTron with Lion for his TF1 design? Probably, I suppose. It's whoever, I don't know. Was it TFCon that did the first?
I think it was BotCon, or the Transformers Collectors Club for BotCon did him. Then
they were the first ones to make him a lion? Probably.
Yeah,
yes.
Then Hasbro did him for Titans Returned as a weird lion unicorn.
Oh, didn't they? No, wait. No, oh, that's right, because they made him out of Broadside. That's right, yeah. And then they retooled it, and it was fucking awful. Fucking terrible. Right, Thundertron done. Shockwave. Shockwave, who is, in quotations, a Beast Hunter figure, but clearly should have been in the main line. So I have this. He has really awful rubbery peg-on armor that is absolutely bonkers and looks weird. In terms of a transformation, he doesn't do a huge amount. He pretty much just stands up for his transformation.
Yep. He's a Shockwave H-tank, so we know what's happening there.
Pretty much. He does have a big gimmick in his fusion cannon. Obviously, you might be able to tell there's a big lever in his gun, and you push that down, and for some reason it opens up and spins, which obviously it never did in the show. It just pew-pewed.
I mean, at least they have an excuse for giving him a giant unwieldy weapon in this case.
I mean, it was part of his design, but yeah, it's a feature, I suppose.
Yeah.
The articulation on him's fine. It's okay. It's very standard Voyager 4 Prime. The design I like, but I liked him in the show. He does have the rubbery cable connecting his back to his gun. I think that can disconnect, but I can't remember. He's pretty okay. He's not an amazing figure though.
Was this the first release of this figure in the Prime toy line?
Yes,
because I think that's
unless the Legends of Cyberverse stuff came out beforehand, which I'm not sure.
Well, I was just because I think this is like why Smokescreen comes with that rubbery cage, because they were designed before the Beast Hunters gimmick came into play, so they had to retrofit them with stuff.
Yeah, to kind of make them look weird, like the rest of the figures coming out at the same time. No, 100%. Yeah, that's the reason. Have you had this figure, Big D?
I haven't. It was one that I don't think I ever saw on shelves, to be fair.
I didn't either.
But I mean, it always looked fun to me, and it was nice to have a Shockwave. I mean, he wasn't our first Shockwave in a while, because we'd had, I think we'd had the Fall of Cybertron. No, War for Cybertron. Fall? Whichever one of...
It was Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was part of the Generations line, which was 2012. This was 2013.
We'd had the Deluxe. It was nice to see a Voyager version of him on the shelves, you know?
Yeah. It just didn't do a huge amount. And like you said, you kind of know what you're getting with an H-Tank Shockwave. So it's just... I wanted more from him. But I'm glad I have him because I like him in the show, so it's nice to have representation. It's just obviously a shame that like all of the black antennae bits, I'm pretty sure are like rubbery as well. I'm pretty sure.
And he's got a lot of those.
And his hand, I'm pretty sure his singular hand is rubbery as well. So I think it's been a while since I've finagled with him, but yeah, he didn't get a redo, obviously, because this was the end of the Beast Machines era, so he didn't get any redos. And then we have another upscale of Predaking. I can't remember what this was an upscale of. I'm guessing it was the Cyberverse Predaking.
Yeah. So this was
turned into a Voyager, and they went, "What if we made him translucent plastic?" And I was like, "But why?"
Yeah.
Because I'd argue that this one looked maybe like the most screen accurate out of the Predakings that we're going to go through. Mostly, it still has issues. And because it was based off a Cyberverse Commander, he had more articulation than the deluxe Terracons that we talked about earlier, it seems. I never got him.
Yeah.
But you can see he's got elbow joints. I'm pretty sure he's got knee joints. Waist joint, elbow joints. I don't think he's got a waist or anything like that. But I don't know why they thought, yes, translucent, that's the way to go.
I swear, someone at Hasbro just this period they seem to be on a kick. But anytime they needed a subline, it was just like, have we done a translucent one yet? Oh, I know what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
because it was like every subline or every line that was effectively retools and repaints for a solid period was just a wash with translucent everywhere.
Yeah, well, we did have in the last show we talked about the Dark Energon line, which was, like you said, all translucent. I can't remember if there was anything prior to that.
There were a few. I don't know if I know that there were a few movieverse characters who had figures that were translucent, but I think that was mainly Dark of the Moon onwards where they did
that was about this time period, 2013-ish. Yeah, because Space Case was, I think.
Yeah, but it was a slightly, I say slightly, it was bloody annoying.
It was.
Because, I say, some of these are actually really nice figures that didn't really deserve to be wasted on translucent when they could have just sung with some nice plastic and paint.
Exel Hedge says, strangely enough, I could have seen the rubber armor working with Shockwave's mold if it was remolded / repainted into Beast Wars Rampage. That would have been a neat idea, potentially.
Yeah.
Would have needed to tweak a bit more about him, like mold-wise, but I could see it. Also, the hose was Shockwave's tank treads and could easily break. Oh, that's what it was. Oh.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds...
I forgot about that. Yeah, because it would have been rubbery. Ooh, yeah. Did you have this Predaking, Big D?
I didn't. I have at least one of the later ones.
The earlier ones, because this was like one of the last ones that came out.
Yeah. One of the later ones we're going to be talking about, but one of the ones that came...
In terms of things, he came with a push missile gun and his tail sword, so he came with pretty much everything you could hope for. Pretty much, so yeah.
That's a whopper of a sword. Not translucent, oddly enough, though.
No, yeah. Of course, where it's the tail.
Where it might have actually made sense.
Yeah. I'm trying to look to see which one it's based off of. It says, however, this figure is an upscaled from the Cyberverse Predaking, not the Cyberverse Commander. Maybe there isn't a Cyberverse Commander? No, there isn't a Cyberverse Commander. So this is if you look at the Cyberverse Commander, it looks like it's an upgrade as well, because the head's a lot better on this figure. They've clearly done stuff with the bottom of the arms, because they, for the Voyager version, they transform. Yeah, they've done a lot more to this than they did with the other ones then, clearly. It's not just an upscale, they've clearly tweaked it as well. But they didn't tweak the other two.
Well, I mean, the other two weren't actually on screen, were they?
I guess. Do you think that was the reason? Maybe. Thought though.
If there was any reason for this one to get given a bit more special treatment, that's all I can think of.
Next up, we have Darksteel, who is a repaint of Grimwing. I can't remember which one came out first. This is your Griffin Transformer. I had this one. I remember thinking, again, this was quite a nice, okay Voyager. I think maybe a bit better than Shockwave. I don't think it did a huge amount of transforming, though, as a lot of these did. And there's
basically
no
just kind of
for some reason.
Just kind of fell forward.
Pretty much. There's like the neck that you kind of had to finagle around with, but for the most part, it's just like, he's like you say, he just goes, he goes forward, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the two of them, Darksteel and Grimwing, were fine, just because they were the only two of the Predacon toys to appear on screen, other than Predaking. So
was it both of them that appeared on screen? I know the mold did, but I thought, did they just use the same mold twice? Well,
I don't think they were coloured as differently as they are on the toys, but I'm pretty sure it was the same names.
Okay, fair enough. They also came with the really weird bird claw launcher.
Yeah.
Thing. Kind of a weird looking gun, but okay, sure. Maybe just a normal axe or polearm would have been better. I don't know.
You'd have thought had a shocking large amount of paint on those weapons as well for what they are.
Yeah,
more than you'd expect.
Where they probably could have been. Maybe because the transformation was so simple, generally speaking, they had a lot of budget left over where they went, fuck it, whatever. put it on the gun. I love that. Because I'd hate to think that was a priority to add like the black and the 3 bits of orange on there just for like no particular reason. We looked at this. We looked at him, and Grimwing is basically the green version, while Darksteel is the blue version. Otherwise, they're reasonably similar.
Yeah.
Then there's.
I kind of prefer Grimwing's head sculpt, how it's been painted compared to the other one, but otherwise they are much for muchness.
Yeah. The art, like, I get why they chose the orange for the inner face thing, just to kind of tie things together and help bump up the color. But it just doesn't look quite as nice as the silver, I think. Japan did their version, which is Budora, and that had a new head sculpt and looked very fancy. Again, I'd argue the downside is I'm pretty sure another one of these guys used a similar color scheme, right? Like that kind of maroon reddish color we talked about earlier, and gold. But it looks good. I think it looks really good. My issue is the head. If you look at the wide shot of the robot mode, got a very tiny head.
He does. That's unfortunate because
is that the same on the other guy? No, it's not.
That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because that is actually again, it's a killer of a head sculpt.
Yeah.
These Japanese versions of the Predacons have been kind of killing it with the heads that they've given them.
Head sculpts were great, and the repaints as well. Like the color schemes they threw on these molds was just That's a bad one.
No, I mean Bedora's given off big Gundam Epion vibes with this.
I can see that.
Maroon, gold, black. Oh.
I think they even remolded the Beast head. No, they did. They've remolded the Beast head as well. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the Beast head's very good.
They've tried to give him because in Chinese and Japanese, well, or in a lot of Asian folklore, dragons tend to have mustaches. It's one of their defining features. I think that's what they've tried to do here. Give him, and it's something that appears on a lot of mythical beasts, to be fair, in that part of the world. I think they've tried to do that just out of 2 pieces of black plastic, and it doesn't work terribly well.
See, that's not my issue with it. My issue is that it looks like an anteater head. Look how long the nose is.
All right. I can see that. I don't as much because, again, I grew up seeing images of beasts that didn't look dissimilar to this.
I don't think Chinese dragons nor Japanese dragons have anteater long faces.
Well, I was kind of generalizing. It's not just dragons. There are other beasts in their folklore that there's quite a broad taxonomy of creatures out there. So, but I do get where you're coming from. But it does. I'm actually struggling to unsee that now you said it. To be
right?
honest.
It looks. Maybe it's just the angle of the photo. Maybe the photo isn't showing it off in the best light. That could be a thing. But from this one image that we have, it looks really weird. And it's like if you cut off, let's just call it the nose, the jaw, like from the eyes upwards, it's okay. It's like it's dragony. It looks quite mean. It's just you've got this then almost Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street trunk kind of coming down.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. Exel Hedge says, speaking of Epion thoughts on the new Wing. Oh, I don't give a shit about Overwatch. I'm afraid, Exel Hedge. So I have no idea.
I mean, I'm aware that there's a Gundam Wing crossover in Overwatch, and the fact that they gave Reaper the Death Scythe Hell skin is just bonkers because they've only done it because it's the Grim Reaper dude. Let's give him the Grim Reaper skin.
Yeah.
It's like, he's the Grim Reaper. He uses twin shotguns.
Yep.
Whereas Death Scythe is in the name.
Yeah, he uses a scythe. He uses a scythe, a machine gun in his forehead, and then the rocket shield knife, whatever that's fucking called. That's it.
The whole point of that thing is it's the ultimate close combat machine. It's just
well, you know what else are for close combat? Shotguns. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, unfortunately I don't give a shit about Overwatch. I've not. The only thing I liked about Overwatch were their CG trailers right at the start. That was it.
I played Overwatch for about 2 years on and off, and then Blizzard. Well,
Blizzard. Yeah, they did a Blizzard, and they killed themselves.
I mean, put it this way: I no longer have the Blizzard launcher on my system in any form whatsoever. So
yeah. It's a shame. It used to be a great company, and they killed themselves for some reason. They just kept slicing their wrists open, and then throwing themselves off buildings, and then pouring gasoline on themselves and setting them on fire, and then wrapping rope around their neck and sliding in the shower. And they just kept doing it, and they just never stopped.
And the worst bit is, you can't blame it solely on Bobby anymore.
No,
Because
no.
the stories come out and we've realised, oh no, wait, it was everyone being an asshole.
Well, Bobby wasn't the guy at BlizzCon to say, "Oh, don't you all have phones for the Diablo game?" You know,
Yeah.
that wasn't Bobby that said that. That was some other stupid fuck. Like the whole company was just like the good people left. And when the good people left, you were just left with the bad. Well, maybe not all bad people, but with seemingly a large majority. I don't know. We got Beast Hunters Prime next. I have Beast Hunters Prime. I think this was much better than the Transformers Prime Voyager, but it wasn't as good as First Edition Prime. Kind of... I like the heroic proportions. He didn't really look exactly like he did on screen. He's also got a very derpy face, which again doesn't look quite screen accurate. It looks like a Chinese Whispers version of his face.
Yeah,
like it's almost there, but it's not quite right.
Yeah, I never got around to picking up a version of this design of Prime, and it always annoyed me because I really like the design.
It's a very solid figure, I would say. Like it's good and chunky.
It felt it was an upgrade to the character from the show that existed in its own space. It wasn't a riff on a lot of. You can see a little bit of the DNA of some of the previous quotation mark super primes, but it felt like its own thing much more than a lot of others have done over the years. And from what I gather, this toy was decent, but I never liked how small it was compared to everything else, because in the show he's supposed to be huge,
massive,
even next to Magnus and the like.
Yeah, this is just a standard scale Voyager, so he was the same size as Magnus. Like you say, this was scale-wise wasn't right. I'd say this is better than the Ring Prime that we'll talk about in a bit. I like it a lot more than that. He does have an integrated jet backpack on, which is mainly used in vehicle mode to hide his arms. His vehicle mode's pretty ugly. It's not great. It's almost a deluxe transformation in a lot of ways. At least that's how it feels, and like how unfinished it feels. Maybe it's the better way to say it. It feels unfinished, like they needed more stuff in it. There's an armored version, which is basically you get his guns and you get his sword and you peg them on. Now the guns are weird because they kind of like they splay open, and I don't know why. And then you can fire a missile through them. He has the Star Saber, but it's in translucent green rather than translucent blue, because it was never green in the show. It was always blue.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know why.
Arguably the second most requested third-party KO weapon is a decent version of this Star Saber.
Yeah, I mean, this was okay for a Star Saber. It's just the wrong color.
Oh, yeah.
Massively the wrong color. It's like, obviously the third-party ones are going to be much cleaner, because this is... I
mean, you know why it's that color, though? It's because it's clearly on the same tool as what they cast the windshield off of.
Yeah, and whatever is on his back as well, because you can see that, unless that's the windshield piece as well, which it could be, I suppose. But yeah, it like you say, it's clearly just that. It does look like gummy compared to the third-party toys.
Does a bit, yeah.
But, you know, it was something. But in terms of, like, articulation, playability, this was pretty solid. Not the best thing ever. The shoulders, the gray bits peg in, or they click into those little red bits just on the side of his chest. So if you're a little bit rough with them, they can detach maybe a little bit too easily.
Yeah, you can see from the pictures they're not terribly well on there, to be fair.
No, mine aren't too bad, but, you know, it's one of those things that without too much effort, they're not pegged in as well as they could be. But in terms of just like playability, he's quite a fun figure. You know, he can pose well. He's got the fun jetpack. He's got the swords. He's got the weird guns, which he didn't have those guns. He had a Gatling gun in the show, but whatever. He could have done with ankle rockers. That would have helped the figure a lot more. XL Hedge says, why wasn't Prime released with his mask on? That's a good point. To visually match the Prime figures. Who knows?
Wasn't there
Oh, no, that one wasn't either. Yeah, the one with the big ring on his back didn't have it either for some bizarre reason.
You know what? I'd have sworn there was another release of this figure that did have the faceplate, but no, clearly I'm mistaken.
Oh, here's an interesting thing. The figure was never repainted or reused again, but the sword was. The Star Saber was apparently reused for the Platinum Edition of G1 Predaking.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Why?
I mean, they did. They did a fair bit. I mean, for Prime, we're going to talk about in a bit. His sword got reused for Beast Hunters RC.
Yeah, that one got reused a lot. It's one of those things where you look at it and like, but why?
It's
Why?
huge.
Why would you remold just a random weapon and be like, fuck it, give it to him?
That's so weird.
Voyager Predaking. I didn't have this. Straight away, I can tell the head is rubber, like Dreadwings and Darkwings.
Those horns are yeah.
You can tell by how the paint looks as well on the plastic. It almost looks like, at least for this, like someone's been rubbing his chin and the paint's just been coming off. Did you have this mold, Big D?
I didn't. I have the leader class version.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the better way to go because I saw this and then I saw the leader. This one seems not great. Not great.
No.
The wings are not very interesting. They've got multiple hinges in them, so that's good. He's got some really ugly robot hands, which are clearly just his dinosaur or dragon hands, just kind of poorly folded together. You know?
What the heck's going on with those guns?
He's got a weird Hydra mode. It almost like they're trying to do Flame Convoy from Galaxy Force or Cybertron, which he never did in the show, clearly, I don't think. No, he didn't, right? He didn't do this.
No, he didn't. No.
So yeah, he's got dragon-headed guns, which sound cool, but he can't hold them. Not really. You can peg them on the outside of his wrists, clearly.
But because of the gimmick they're going for, they just look weird.
Yeah, they almost look like crutches because of how long they are. He can use them as crutches to help stand up. So I guess an interesting idea, just not implemented desperately well there.
No.
He has his tail sword, but it looks more like a club than the previous Predaking that we looked at, which looked like a proper flaming sword.
It works as a tail, but as a sword, it's just like you're all right.
Even as a tail, it's just not great.
No.
You know. So
I think the angle of the photos is doing more good for it than anything. But that's
you might be right. He got redone into cryotech because Red Dragon. What if blue? So they made him blue.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that he can't have like his legs bent in the correct way in dragon mode because he's got normal like his front dragon legs are his elbows, and it doesn't look like they bend the other way.
So it's got, oh god, that's real bad.
Wait, no, don't. No, they do. Wait, no, they do.
No, they're supposed to bend.
Yeah, if you look at the normal Predaking, the legs look normal. If you look at the cryotech, for some reason, the legs are wonky as fuck. So they just mistransformed it for cryotech specifically. Do you see it?
Brilliant. Yep.
Okay, that's fine. I wondered if it was just horseshit. It's not. It's just bad photos.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. In terms of like a repaint, it's fine. It's, I guess, standard for your dragon to bleed blue. I say that we haven't had did we get a cryotech version of Legacy Megatron? Beast Machines transmit?
Not yet.
No, we still haven't.
It was one that a lot of people expected, but
yeah, we haven't had it. Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think we had. So neither of us can really comment on how good or bad this looks, or is, just how it looks kind of mediocre, right?
Yeah, it never really sold itself to me. I saw it on the shelves a few times, and I just passed it by. It just didn't really do anything for me.
It's weird that the upscaled figure looks better, apart from being translucent.
Yeah.
I find. Next up, we have it wasn't really leader class. It was
No, it had a different name which I can't remember.
both
which
it
annoys
and
me.
the Prime. It's like I guess this was the large scale gimmick line, whatever it was. In terms of how accurate it was, oddly enough, like it has very little paint for some reason. Its best paint feature is it has this really nice transition from orange to yellow on his thighs, and that's pretty much where the painting budget seemed to went, because he has very little in terms of his robot mode.
I mean, these two seem to be a real case of they wanted to try and emphasize play factor, so they kind of went all in on just making them big, chunky, and
gimmicky.
Yeah. And
so what does
Predaking
Predaking have? What does he have in terms of gimmicks? Because it doesn't list them here.
Well, if I remember rightly, I think he does have some. Hang on, let me bring up a quick picture because it's been a while since I've messed around with my one, so I've forgotten. He has on the box. They've shouted out the fact he has a huge 21-inch wingspan and light up fire breath.
Oh, so he's got lights in him somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense for a figure this big. Yeah, that's kind of expected, I suppose.
And despite that, quite fun to mess around with.
Do you not remember any other gimmicks that he may or may not have had?
He's got 2 missiles, 2 launchers, and a big ass tail sword that looks like a chain whip.
Okay, but other than that, nothing too crazy.
That's kind of it. He's just big, chunky, and looks quite good. Which honestly, that's enough sometimes, you know?
It looks like he's got really big heels, though. It looks like there's a lot of plastic that hangs off the back of his feet just to keep him upright.
There is, but from what I remember when I had him out for box, he was quite stable with that, despite his size and despite having electronics in the chest.
That's clearly why he has it. I have a feeling that he's got a big backpack, right?
I don't think it was that big. I mean, for wings...
It's the wings and the neck. And the dragon head, right? How am I figuring this out and I don't own this figure? I'm looking at one photo.
Look, it's been a while, all right? I was going to try and dig the box out, but it's like... There's like 2 meters of Gundam kits between me and it.
There is a lot of... Yeah, this figure clearly has a lot of back kibble. Looking at the pictures, looking at how big the wings are and how folded up they are for the robot mode, there has to be a huge amount of kibble.
Well, for wings, they're quite good because they actually compress down quite well.
In terms of just like plastic weight. In terms of plastic weight, there's a lot hanging off him, right?
True, yeah.
And that's clearly why he has really big heel spurs, just to kind of try and keep him upright. So that's definitely an issue. In terms of articulation, from the looks of things, he looks standard, universal joints here and there. Doesn't look like does he have ankle rockers? Do you remember?
I don't believe he did. I don't think he had much of a waist swivel either, to be fair, because of...
If he's got lights and sounds, then yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. Oh, well, sorry, just lights. Lights he wouldn't.
But the legs were fairly poseable. The arms could do a fair bit. The head did move more than
when you say a fair bit, do you mean more than the normal? Because it just looks like the normal amount of stuff they could do.
All right, I'm probably overselling it. He could do what you'd want a figure of this size to be able to do. So the standard, which is not always a given for the Prime line, in all fairness.
No. But it looks like he's got like free moving shoulders so they can spin around 180 around. He's got bicep swivel, got an elbow bend, which is probably 90 degrees. Looks like he's got ball joints in the wrist, so they can do a bit of something. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, he's a nice, imposing figure. If you have all the Predacons out on a shelf, he looks great, kind of the center of them, whichever mode you put him in.
Right. That's good.
I mean, I think the Dragon is actually the better of the two. But either one's actually quite good to have on display. So
XL Head says backpack was only wings and dragon head. Okay, so it must weigh a decent amount then to have to justify the ankle, the heels. Sorry, on the ankles. And XL Head says yes, the feet were on ball joints. Oh, the feet were on ball joints. There you go. I would agree that the dragon mode looks pretty solid for this as well. So our final figure is the weird Ring Optimus Prime, which was never a thing in the show. He had okay, so the parts they've got listed here is green missile, which I'm guessing is meant to be like a fire missile, circular missile.
Yep.
Which is like I don't know, like a
lassie.
I guess. Another green missile, which is another fire missile, a 2-pronged missile, a 3-pronged missile. Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Yeah. Then he also came with a gigantic shield, which is actually pretty cool looking. And then, like you said, why do they say this is the Star Saber, Big D? This is not the Star Saber. This is an orc chopper, an orc cleaver.
You know what's even more damning about that thing? It has every other version of it has this has no paint on it whatsoever, that sword.
No,
every other version of it is chock-a-block with paint.
Yeah, the sword was used for Beast Track Optimus Prime. No, that one's just flat grey, it seems. The Beast Track Optimus Prime, which is a movie Optimus Prime that's green.
Okay.
Optimus Prime is this? 2013 Optimus Prime. What mold is this? This mold was recolored from Weaponizer's Optimus Prime in 2012 and was later molded into Platinum Edition Ultra Magnus.
Oh, Weaponizer's Prime was the one that had all the gimmicks for one of the weapons that just popped out and were hidden away.
Yeah, and he could also yeah, that's right. He had the Gatling cannons on his shoulders. So he got the giant quote-unquote Star Saber, but that one wasn't colored. And then the only other time it came was with Beast Hunter's RC, where it was colored super cool. Black with then the pink fade, which looked really good.
Yeah, that hot pink fade to white is just...
Yeah. So the gimmick with this toy was somehow the rings span around and would fire the missiles when they got to a point, right?
Yeah.
Is that the only gimmick?
Well, the ring also has a big old handle on the back of it, so you can actually use it to simulate Prime flying.
Okay. Even though he doesn't have a jetpack?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This is such a weird figure. But
yeah.
Look, Predaking at least has stuff going on where it feels like a complete figure. This just feels like all the money that went into that damn ring could have gone to getting the Gatling gun, doing a decent Star Saber, making the alt mode not look like ass.
Yeah, it's super gappy. Like not even even the front cab. Like there's big gaps in here.
Yeah, it does not look good.
Like the Voyager had its issues where it is gappy, but at least it hit it with its shitty backpack, not desperately well, but at least the front of the cab didn't have giant gaps in it. It looks similar in terms of its transformation as well, because you can see in the vehicle mode that gray panel where it swings around and pegs into the wing mirror, which is exactly what the Voyager did as well. It doesn't look that different from the Voyager, apart from it has this ring, this really big ring for some reason on its back.
It's
is the face the face sculpt is better than the Voyager.
It looks more like how Prime looks in the show when his faceplate is down.
Still not completely right either.
Well,
but it does look better.
I mean, the eyes, I'm assuming they're trying to do light piping, so the eyes are just dead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't mind that. My issue is the lines underneath the eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's trying to do, because Prime never had that, obviously.
No, he did have two, like a lot of Prime characters, he had those two nostril slits, didn't he?
That's right, yeah. But he didn't have
Maybe
like
that-
cry lines, which is what
No,
these look like.
maybe they're supposed to be those nostril slits, but the designer or whoever did the sculpt just couldn't make it work, which is ironic given it's a huge fucking figure.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
It's just weird because I mean this was the version of Prime that got so much time in the show's latter half. This was the hero Prime in full flow.
Mm.
The Voyager too small, and then this version is just budget wasted on.
A thing that you never used in the show.
Yeah,
Like, why not give this one the backpack? Maybe he was meant to get this ring at some point in the show, I guess.
maybe.
Because otherwise, like, I don't like. Why would he do it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's bizarre. This feels a
it
little.
is.
This feels like a little bit of a better version of. Do you remember when we talked about the really big Transformers animated Prime, the one that you push forward and he span around and he transformed? It feels like a better version of that because that was really bad. This feels bad, but better than that.
Yeah, I mean, on the shelves when I looked at this, it kind of gave me that sort of vibe.
Yeah,
but
it's
it
the
wasn't
big
really.
thing.
Yeah, it was. It didn't even feel like it fit alongside Predaking.
No,
If that
and yet
makes-
they're the same scale, right? Or were, I think.
They were supposed to be, but Predaking was packaged more like most of the main. They packaged him in beast mode, so it was in the box was they could make it fit on a normal shelf, whereas
Yeah.
Prime they packaged him in robot mode, stood upright, and the box was blinking huge.
He was in an open box as well, right? So kids could fiddle with him.
I think he might have been, yeah.
Or did he? Yeah, I don't think it had plastic over the front of it. So
No, I
Yeah.
don't think it did. Yeah. So it just gave off a different vibe to all the other figures in the range. It felt more aimed at the
young kids,
and this
right?
this isn't a knock against making toys for kids because it's the whole point. There should be toys for kids. And for that demographic, this would be great. But it also doesn't represent the character as he appears in the show that they would have been watching when they came into the shop.
And like you
So
said, it did feel like it was marketed as the Autobot equivalent to that Predaking figure. At least that's how I remember the marketing kind of being pushed for it.
It's a real shame that Prime ended this way because the show. I don't know. I enjoyed the show.
It's my favorite Transformers show. I think it's probably the best written. It's still got a lot of writing issues and problems to it, but I think it's still think it's the best one that we've had so far.
Yeah, I would. It's not my favorite, but it's certainly in the better shows by no small margin. And it's just a shame that Hasbro kind of. And all right, it's not entirely Hasbro's fault. 'Cause there were around the time this was all happening, we were about to hit the dark days of where I think the oil prices were going to spike massively.
No, we'd already had them. We had them.
Already had that?
Yeah, we had that at the start of the Prime line.
Yeah.
That's why all the first Prime figures were pretty bad and took that massive drop from first edition.
That's right. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting confused on that score.
We were in the dark days, technically.
Yeah,
I will say that the Beast Hunters figures felt a little bit better. They still had issues, but they felt better than the previous stuff because this was, I guess, like a year or 2 years since the oil crisis happened.
Yeah, I mean they were iterating on the concepts, so they were getting their feeling for it, which can't have been easy given that. I don't think the show. I mean, the show was not a cheap one, was it?
Oh no, it was super expensive.
Yeah, and that sort of thing, they had to work a lot more in advance and to see what did click with people.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. It's just a shame. I'm trying to think. Has there been a decent third-party version of this Prime?
No.
No.
Oh well, but there's Iron Warriors, which are the Iron Warriors, not Iron Factory. Iron Warriors do the non-transforming Prime figures,
yeah.
so they look
Yeah.
really accurate to the robot models, but they don't obviously do any transforming. I think they've done, if I remember, they've done Megatron, Optimus, and Bumblebee, and I can't remember if they've done anyone else as of yet. They might have, but.
Sounds
Other than
right,
that, in terms of like transforming Prime figures, the only things you have are the APC toys. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah,
It's sad.
I mean, if APC were to maybe do a slight upscale of Voyager Beast Hunter Prime, that could be interesting to see.
To be honest, I can't remember what the last thing APC toys put out. In my mind, it feels like it's been a while since they've done anything.
Was it Black Arachnia or Arachnid?
I think they've done something since then. I'm just checking now. The first edition Bulkhead. That's it. Which you've got.
I should have known that because I have them right next to me.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was the most recent.
They did the Air Viacon, first edition Bulkhead. The latest thing that's out, which I don't know if it's the newest, but they've got first edition RC that's out. And granted, the pre-orders they have are Megatron, which they've already had. This is the toy colored version, so it's going to be the least popular version because why would you want that one when you could have had the metallic version?
Yeah.
And they're also putting out a first edition version of Shattered Glass Prime, so they're doing him in purple.
Because of course they are.
Well, why not, right? Than every other fucking color. So yeah. It feels like they've slowed down. When are these ones meant to come out? The Prime is unknown. Okay, well that's a good sign. And the Megatron is late June 2025. So that one's seemingly got a release date. So that one might be coming at some point in the not too distant future. But yeah, maybe they'll get around to doing the rest of the line that's missing. I've said to you, I'm hoping they'll maybe one day attempt to make a not shit knockout. That would be really cool.
One can dream.
One can dream. That's us done for the Prime toys. We've done Prime first edition, normal RID Prime, and Beast Hunters now. So thank you, Big D, for covering these things with me.
No worries. That was quite a fun run back through things.
Where can people find you in the future if you want to be found?
Oh, I am on all the socials as David Kelly. Can't miss me with this particular mugshot or a picture of cup. Contribute to ukanime.net from time to time. I should really write something for them because I've enjoyed some anime recently that he's talking about. I'm a mod over on the Fluff Hour Discord, and Mr. Gruff has roped me into being his sidekick on the Deeper Dives shows that we record.
Yeah, we were going to do one last week, weren't we? But Gruff was busy with work.
Yeah. And I co-host the Fluff and Buster show with Mr. White. We have an idea for our next one. Just need to work out a time to do it. So, I think that's me.
Yeah. Well, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Decade Andy, where I play video games and whatnot, usually at 10:15 in the evening UK-ish time. Still trying to get back to a normal kind of, schedule from, the whole coughing thing. I have not coughed as of yet. Probably once the show finish, I can feel the coughs building, to be honest, but it feels like I am getting less coffee, which I'm happy about.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, the faster it shifts, the better, as far as I'm concerned. You can also find us on the move. Fuck, I lied. I couldn't hold it. Typical. You can find us on the Moonbase 2 forums, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast. We're on the ccbunker.weebly.com. We're on the forums and all those places as well, and iTunes. The usual shit. We should be back next week at 9:30 in the evening on a Sunday if you want to come and join us on YouTube and on Twitch. And it should theoretically be the news. Hopefully there will have been something of value to talk about. I guess we'll have to wait
Fingers
and see.
crossed.
Yeah. Until then, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you Big D once again.
Always a pleasure.
And we will see you next time, everybody, next week.
Bye-bye.